Welcome to Learning the Proffie Part 3. We have a special guest tonight. It is FET263, Fernando from FET263 YouTube channel. He makes blade styles for the Proffie. If you're not already subscribed to FET263, definitely do that. You will see so many blade styles and videos that come out for the Proffie that he makes, and it'll teach you how to do it. You even have a series about learning the Proffie. I saw that there's at least 1 through 5, which I need to take a look at. I wanted to catch up on those before tonight's video. Welcome, Fernando.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks.
Also, I got JediArmsDealer. He's back for Part 3. I feel like we have a really great group here because it's like me, who doesn't know anything about it. It's JediArmsDealer, who is in the middle. He knows how to do it. And then it is FET, who makes the blade styles and, you know, can teach us how to make our own blade styles or teach us how to program those blade styles into the Proffieboard for your lightsaber. So that's really going to help me because I'm like just starting to understand what's going on.
Yeah, me too. Me too, about the hardcore and the new stuff.
Yeah, the new OS has a ton, so that's why I had seen the first 2 parts of your video. And, you know, I saw obviously all the stuff you're doing, but I was just thinking to myself, the style generator you're using for the localized lockup, that's a little older one. So that's why I wanted to reach out originally was there's been so many improvements and stuff to that capability that I had forgotten that style generator was still live. So I was like, I got to tell them that there's actually better versions. So.
Well, that was one of my first questions was, how do you find the newest style generator? Is that the one that has like all the fireworks stuff in it you were showing the other day?
So, yeah, so what the original style generator way back when, and I mean, kind of history lesson a bit, but originally localized lockup was basically a pulsing gradient. So to get that one section of the blade to stay the lockup color and the rest of the blade to stay the same, it basically came down to, you know, combining a gradient and then adding a pulse, which gave you that animation. And it was a big piece of code. And when I first put it on TRA, I was getting a lot of questions because people couldn't figure out how to build it. So I made that generator where you would just drop some stuff in and then it would do it for you. But since then, we actually went to the fork, the color change fork, which was SA22Cs that everyone used for a while. And Matt, he ended up making a built-in animation, so you didn't need that whole huge piece of code. It would actually do the central location and move on its own with what he had done, and that was the 2.9 cc. And then Frederick, who obviously created Proffie, he released 3.9, and he took it even further with what were called shapes at the time. And then now we've moved into actually the responsive localized lockup, where instead of it being an animation that moves that section, it actually reads the angle of your blade. And as you move your blade, it actually repositions that lockup section. So it's the thought process behind it was in the films, when the guys are, particularly when you're really close to someone, a lot of times in the films, that lockup section is pretty low and those blades are straight up against each other. But as they extend, it moves up the blade towards the middle section. So what I wanted was, Frederick helped all of it, but I did some proof of concepts with how to get the angle of the blade to change that location, and that kind of grew into it. But now the responsive localized lockup, it does. As you move your blade, that angle will change that section up and down the blade, and it gives you a lot more. First of all, it immerses you into it because it actually is moving. So if you keep your blade still with somebody, it stays still. If you're moving, it moves with it, and it allows you to really choreograph it. But so it's the new one is I would say the style generator you're using is probably like V1.5 localized lockup. Yeah. The new OS is version 4, and it's just so much better. And the code is really condensed, so it's much easier to implement.
I saw you saying that about, because we, you know, some of us guys that have been messing with the Proffie from way back or running out of code space. So that's really cool that you've condensed the code now. That's great.
Yeah, well, Frederick condensed the code. All my stuff is always huge, and then Frederick, because he just knows the stuff so well, he's like, well, how about if we do it this way? And then he makes it a lot better. So it's, but yeah. So now the new one, the responsive lockup is it's much better, but it's also much easier to implement than the older ones. So that's not so long, kind of a long tangent. That style generator is like from version 2 of the main OS. My library now is kind of meant to be the jump off point. And the reason for that is a while back when we were developing the OS 4, I was just throwing stuff at Frederick, and I did a little bit of coding, but my code is I'm an amateur, and I throw it to him and he'd be like, yeah, that's not how we should do it, and he'd fix it. But as we layered all these new capabilities in the back of my head, I was thinking, all right, this is really different from what people are used to. So I started to put the library together to kind of be, it's meant to be, first of all, a place for me to dump all the craziness in my head. I don't lose it, but it's also meant to be for people to actually jump in, see this stuff, see how the code is, and then take it and go off and run with it. So there is no more style generator. Essentially, you're going to use the library, but if you go and choose any of the styles, there's a new enhancement screen, and it gives you like all these choices now, and then it lets you generate the code, and you can actually jump to the style editor, which is Frederick's, and do all the manipulation you need. So that's what I really wanted to kind of just introduce and show, because there's just so much. It's almost impossible to explain it all. It's easier to just kind of show the library and let everybody go.
Okay.
Now, Fet, is this that I have up on screen like a link that I can share? Is this the current one that you want people to go to?
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to put this in the chat for anybody that wants to follow along with us. We have Melissa's World in the chat. Welcome, Melissa. Martin Geary, Fet263, what a legend, the king of blade styles. We have Mark Fiala in the chat. He's the one who whose saber I'm going to be fiddling with tonight. He is here as well, and I can't thank you enough for doing this for us, Fet. This is incredible. When you emailed the other day after watching the first part of when I was with JediArmsDealer, and we were figuring out the Proffie, and he was teaching me what he knew, and then you had told me about all this new stuff. That's just incredible. So it's really, really cool you're willing to come on here and kind of talk to us live about this, because I'm sure there's going to be, at least on my part of it, there's going to be some like fumbling going on. I should have watched your parts like 1 through 5 of like how to do it. I definitely suggest anybody that wants to learn the Proffie, like do what I'm going to do, which is watch those blade style videos. Plus you have, like before you actually come onto this page right here, you have anybody that follows that link, you'll see that you have a link that lies on top of this page that will take people to how to program the board and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So everything's very logical and easier for people to follow, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, well done, man. Thank the maker for the madness in your head, bro.
Yeah. Well, I started out where everybody started out. And actually, Meg2 Sith Tom is the one who got me into Proffie, and I jump on his channel a lot. And at first, I just had a billion questions for like him and for Frederick and for everybody. So I kind of feel like now I'm at the point where, thanks to their sharing of their knowledge, I'm able to share my knowledge. And particularly with the current situation and just staying at home all the time, I've had so much free time. So this is. It's kind of a good release from everything for me. But for me, I found that if people see what they can do, and if they just play with it, the fear goes away. So that a lot of times, particularly on open source, people are afraid to break something. They're afraid to like make a mistake, and that's everything that I put together there. For everything you see like on my channel or here, I probably failed like 15 times before that worked. So it's not like it just happened. So that's part of why I put the stuff together. So maybe all the mistakes I made ahead of time, people could skip and then move forward from. But I just want to share, what's capable, and let everybody kind of take that. And there's already people, particularly in the open source group, who are now starting to grasp the stuff. Some of it from my videos and some of it from their own tinkering. And there's really no limit because of what Proffie is capable of. It's really what you think of and what you take the time to make is where it's going to go. So it's not just me. It's not just one person. It's the whole community. Everybody has ideas and thoughts, and they all bounce off each other and made stuff. And that's why it keeps growing, and that's why the growth is exponential. So I'm just doing my piece to pay it forward. But there's going to be somebody who comes along who does like stuff I never even thought of that's going to make it even crazier. So
it seems like it's not only just all in the pursuit of the most like realistic lightsaber, but it's like it's in the pursuit of whatever you imagine. It's almost like the way sound fonts kind of have been for lightsabers since the beginning. It seems like now the visual part of the lightsaber is coming to life in the same way, meaning like my friend Matthew Corrado Novastar, when he made his sound fonts early on and stuff, he went beyond the Star Wars world, and so did some other sound font makers, and went into like making like, you know, Voltron fonts and different Thundercats fonts, and, you know, steel sword fonts and different types of things like that. So the sound went into the world of like imagination a long time ago. And then when JediArmsDealer introduced me in the part 1 of this to the audio flicker, it kind of connected the two, where he said, you know, the sound is now connected to the way the blade is going to react. And that really, he said it was going to blow my mind, you know, and it kind of did. And now when you're here discussing the blade styles and your whole library of different blade styles, and the fact that you're saying right now that anybody can, it's just your imagination is the limit as far as what the lightsaber blade could be. And especially combined with the neopixel, obviously, that's really what we're talking about here. It's the blade styles that when you have a neopixel blade, right?
Yeah.
RGB pixel blade, or with Proffie, probably it could be RGBW, or it could be whatever combination of colors inside the neopixel. But it can kind of do whatever the hardware limit is, meaning like these 2 strips of LEDs inside the blade, whatever they can do. And from what you're describing, it seems like it's very real time. Like when you're describing that lockup, how it goes up and down, it's almost like it could happen fast, right? Because you'd be fighting, dueling, and you're pushing someone's blade off. And I think the way you described it is that it'll react that quickly.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot involved. So you'll get a little lag sometimes. Sometimes people have slow SD cards, or sometimes if you're playing like a lot of sound files, you'll get a little lag. But particularly the responsive lockup, the melt, those new responsive controls, which they're basically just the Z-axis, the X-axis, and the Y-axis of the board, and they just change the value of what's happening. And they can change it positionally, so stuff moving. They can change it color value, which is what the melt actually does, and it just applies it. But it's essentially real time, considering that it's this tiny little circuit board. It's essentially as real time as I've been able to get it. And I've beat up on it a lot, and it's always performed really well.
I'm curious, Fernando, do you have any coding experience in the past, or is this something where you just checked out the first editor and was like, hey, I get it?
Yeah, I spent hours on hours on the editor. When Megtooth Tom introduced me to the style editor, because I was bugging him, because the reason I did Proffie was I wanted a Kylo saber, because I am part of the 501st. I do Kylo Ren.
Nice.
And I nothing against it, but I never liked the glue on the blade to make it look unstable. I was like, that, you know, it doesn't look real to me.
Right.
And I saw his video with his fire blade, and I was like, holy, and I wanted it. And so then I was just bugging him. So he said, hey, here's the Proffie, learn about it. And he helped me get along. And then he showed me the editor, and he said, here, you can make whatever you want. And I was like, wait, I can make it? And I just dove into it. And it was just like this great fun thing to play with. And it's probably gotten a little beyond that to a little bit of mania, but it was just so much fun. Like I was like, man, let me see what happens if I do like mix this blue with like green, and then I put an audio flicker, and then I put brown noise on top of it. I was like, what is that? Oh, I was like, wow, that looks awesome. Like that's what the editor was. It got me into it. And then I wanted to do stuff that wasn't there. So I reached out to Frederick, and I bothered him a lot, probably too much. But eventually he said, you know, if you really want to do this stuff, he's like, you can just program it yourself. And I was like, really? But I'm not a programmer. So I got a couple books on C++. I understood 25% of it, but I figured out enough of it, and I'm good at pattern recognition. I recognized enough of what was in the OS from what I had read in these books to start doing stuff. But I am definitely not a programmer. It's all kind of self-learned, and in a lot of cases, particularly some of the early stuff that I did proof of concept on for the responsive stuff, the stuff I shared with Frederick was kindergarten level to him. He definitely took it in, and he was very receptive to it, but he made it like professional. Like I kind of handed a little crayon drawing of what I wanted to be able to do, and he turned it into the real thing. So, but it's all just self-taught. And even the C++ side, wow, that was just because I wanted to do stuff that wasn't there yet. You don't need that to do all of this stuff now. It's essentially with OS4, what was opened up with the capabilities, which is what I usually try to tell people who ask, is it took like all the limits off, and you can do anything now. Like before, the older versions, even the older style editor, there was still some constraints. Like there was some sections where it could only take a fixed number, or it could only take a color. But with OS4, Frederick made it completely open where everything's interchangeable. So you can take all of it's almost like having like a ginormous Lego set just dumped in front of you and just say, go to town. Like that's how it is now. That's how I envision it. So it's, and that's why I try to share with people, because it's like, yeah, what do you want to do? Just go at it.
That lightsaber story that you have is exactly the same way that I got into lightsabers as well. It's like I had questions, and then I had people like Irv Plechter just tell me like, why don't you just do it? Or like Django Fett from FX Sabers was like a big influence on me early on, where I would go to him and ask him like, hey, can you do this for me? And he's like, why don't you just do it? And I thought like, okay, maybe I'll try that, you know. And then next thing you know, you're like stepping into that world, and you find that you can do it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's really just, you know, part of it is just the desire to, but part of it's just trying it. You know, it's but it definitely it's a fun hobby. I mean, I've been a Star Wars fan forever. I've been in the 501st for 20 plus years, so I've been around Star Wars for a while. But I never wanted a lightsaber, even when I did Darth Vader. I didn't do lightsabers as Darth Vader, first of all, because the costume's so expensive, and I saw my friends get beat on like a piñata way too often. So I said, no, I'm not introducing that aspect. But once I did Kylo, like he needs that saber. Like he's kind of incomplete without it. So that's what got me in. But now, I mean, I've got hilts and way more than I should, and I spend too much time on it. But it's a fun hobby. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, like I like when some of my friends tell me that the only one more expensive than a saber hobby is a car hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, that's not my problem.
Yeah, same here.
Super addictive. It's kind of unreal. Well, cool. Should we walk?
Yeah, let's see what you guys need. Yeah.
And myself through the newest stuff.
Sounds good.
Let's see. Tell me what the first thing I should pull up on screen, so that if anybody wants to kind of go along with us, they can. Would this be like the first stop in the road to finding something?
Yep. So in the library, I do the videos if you need to see them, but essentially they're broken out. So audio flicker is the one you were talking about. So that's that first style. The audio flicker style is the one that I typically use for most Canon sabers, because it does respond to that hum and all the swings. So if you like that one, the goal of the library is it actually breaks the main blade effect that's supposed to run all the time from everything else. So you would pick whatever you want to start with, and then if you scroll a little bit down where the get style is, just slightly down. I condensed it because this page gets long. That get style code, if you click that get style code, now you can pick the starting default color. So most styles have color change where you can pick whatever color you want from the color wheel.
This is beautiful.
I have to have a starting color, because part of it's just because I'm also not a programmer. So like even this website is like HTML and JavaScript that I learned from like Websites for Dummies. So
no, but look, you're very organized. It's a beautiful site, really. Like it's so organized.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's organized, but if somebody who knows how to do this stuff peeked under the hood, they'd again say, "Oh, that's really nice drawing with crayons," you know. But it works. So you pick your thing. And so I like crayons. Yeah, hey, I'm good with crayons. But you pick the starting color, and you hit that customize enhance screen or button, and then it's going to take you to a screen where you can pick all your ignitions, retractions, all these other effects, and it's going to build it for you. And then we can so you can pick and this lit. So just for if you're here without me or for anybody who's watching, the question marks again. I'm always thinking of stuff. So the question marks next to each category, if you click it, it'll actually give you a description of what you're looking at. Because I just keep adding to this.
Oh, this is cool, man.
So it just gives
like, you know, you're very humble because not only did you make the website, you made the blade style, and you're describing it in all this detail. You must be a writer too. Look at this. This is amazing. This is going to make people understand, like the pulsing. What's pulsing? Oh, it's like your kyber crystal will pulse during your preon and then unleash your blade ignition, timed with your preon.wave, 8,000 millisecond full animation to fall. So I guess that's adjustable or something.
Yeah, so a lot of the ones that the preon in particular is a new effect. So if you have a preon sound file in your font, a preon effect can play, but the preon effect, I had to choose a default. So most of them are timed out to 8,000 milliseconds because Jesse Kirkbride made me a preon file, and that's how long it was, and that's what I tested with. But you just go into the style editor or into the code and lengthen or shorten that. But that animation will run while the sound is going, and then when the preon sound file is done, your blade just ignites. And if you time it right, it looks awesome. Sometimes if you have the timings off, the preon effect will end short or it'll run long. So that's why you got to adjust it. But it looks really cool.
Oh, I see. So yeah, even like the one in Rise of Skywalker at the end when Rey ignites her yellow lightsaber, but it quickly sparks green to blue, and then I guess to
connect to the gold.
Yeah, that is really cool. So these are all choices in this drop down. Let's say.
So if you choose the drop down, and you're just going to see the name. That's why I put the explanations there, because sometimes the name doesn't mean anything. But you just pick it, and then you go on to the next options, and you keep picking your options. And when you get to the bottom, you can actually preview it in that style editor that you guys were looking at in the other videos, and you can tweak it from there too.
You know what this reminds me of? This is my favorite part of like a good Star Wars video game, like Knights of the Old Republic, like at the beginning when you're choosing your character. Isn't that your most favorite part? Like I like to design things. So like when the character comes up and you could pick whether they're like wide looking or slim, or like what clothes they have and what class they are and their face. This is like that part. So yeah, like before the game even gets started, that's why I kind of make the analogy here. It's like, I will spend hours on character creation, and that's kind of like, this is like character creation for your lightsaber blade. This is the best.
Yeah, exactly.
Saber blade avatar right here. Wow. Yeah. There's so much stuff in these drop downs.
Yeah, and it keeps growing because, like I said, when I think of new stuff, I sometimes people ask me questions about stuff and it sparks up other stuff. Other times I just get like an influence or something and I'll throw them in. But the design of the new library was to kind of facilitate the fact that I'm always adding new stuff, because the old ones, when I would build a new style, like I had to build a whole complete style from scratch to add one new effect. So now I broke it up so that I can add these effects, but I don't have to keep rebuilding everything. So that list just keeps growing based on requests or whatever I come up with.
Is at the end of the list like Metal Forge Heat Up? Is that one of the newest ones?
Yeah, so yeah, it should be chronological. So that's one I came up with.
That looks crazy. That might look crazy in the Photon. I don't know if like Mark's going to agree to that, but maybe we should look at that, because that looks like something else. That looks like something else. It's gonna this preon will heat up like a metal rod from black to red to dark orange to white hot, and then into your base blade ignition. 8,000 milliseconds. Can you guys believe that? I almost my head hurts thinking about what that might look like.
You got any out of universe fonts on that saber you're working on, Space, for Mark? Will that work on, or are they all in universe?
I mean, look, I don't.
I might have to shoot you one of my freebies that I've created so you can put that on there.
Yeah, that's that. All right, let's choose that one, Metal Forge. That's just crazy. Oh my God.
Because it is sick. I put on the Sidious Saber. And
oh, you've seen it?
Yeah, it's on. I have it on the Sidious Dimitri build that I did, and it's unreal.
I'm just wondering
so cool.
because it's saying that it has like this red to dark orange to white hot. I'm wondering, like in the photon, it's gonna go from, you know how the photon can show red, so it's gonna go like red to white hot to eventually green. I think it's gonna be nutty.
True.
Yeah. And if you don't have a preon for that one, you can also choose that as an ignition option. So so the preon runs before ignition. If you have the file, if you're missing the sound file, that one actually you can also do as just an ignition effect. So instead of like the blade wiping up, the idea, again, inspiration. I had seen that the guys who made like the real like 10,000 degree lightsaber thing, and it's just that tungsten rod, and it starts
crazy.
And it heats up, and I was like, oh, I can do that. So that's essentially what the inspiration was for that.
Oh yeah, the Hacksmith.
Yeah, that reminds me of that.
I
definitely
love that
when
channel.
you say that. Jaden Bateman says, "Is there a way where I can watch your first and second stream?" Yeah, if you go to the live section of no, it actually it's not. They weren't live videos, were they? They were just regular videos. So if you go to the video feed on my channel, Space Windu channel, you will see that. Also, if you're looking to really learn this stuff, check out Fet's channel, Fet263, and Meg Toot Sith. If you're looking for the real deals, they are Fet's here tonight, and on their channel they have really good instructional stuff.
Yeah.
You know, about these program helpers that exist here. Mundo, what's going on, Mundo? Good to see you. What does this say? It says, wait till you get subblades. Subblades.
So you can break in your config, you can actually define just segments of your blade to be completely unique and separate. So like you can actually define like a 10 pixel area of your blade to do its own unique style. And the rest of the blade does. So it gets, I mean,
okay, I can,
there's no limit to what you can do now. It's crazy.
And you designate the number of pixels as you're building it?
It's in your config at the bottom where you define, the manual covers it, but at the bottom where you define your blade config, like the WS2811, blah, blah, blah. There's actually a subblade capability where you pick like pixels 0 to 10 and that do this, and it treats that as one style, and then pixel 11 to like 50 is a second own unique style. And it works also like if you wanted to do like a crystal chamber and you wanted one data line, you could run the data line through your crystal chamber and then onto your main blade instead of having to run two data lines. And you just define like those first 2 pixels as the crystal, and then the rest of the pixels would be the blade, and you can handle them separately also. So it eliminates needing like separate data lines for everything. Like you could run a data line through every pixel you have, like if you have a bunch of accents and crystals and stuff, run them all on one data line, and then just in the config break them into their own sections and handle them all separately. Or you could do your main blade and just grab half of it to do one thing and half of it to another. It's really whatever you want, but you can choose the individual pixels, like a single pixel or a range of pixels, to act as their own unique thing.
Does that take up like a bunch of code, like a bunch of extra code?
So it would add. So instead of having a single, like if you have a single blade, you have one style in your preset. If you had 3 subblades, you'd have 3 styles in that preset. So you do use up more memory, but the way the memory works is it's not like a linear thing. So if you have a crystal chamber and like a main blade and then say like an accent that do similar things, it uses less memory than if you have those 3 things do completely unique things. So but eventually you have to hit a cap of what the board can hold. But there's a few ways kind of to get more out of it. But obviously some of this really crazy stuff in the library, because I've had people add like everything. If you throw the kitchen sink at your blade, you're using up a good amount of memory. You're going to have to limit yourself in the number of presets that you can put in.
Does it take up code to like have the same blade styles in the different?
You could use that same blade style in like 10 presets, and I think cumulatively there's a little bit of memory used for whatever the difference is in the font, but it's not the same as if you added 10 unique ones. So it essentially and Frederick would explain it a lot better again. But essentially, yeah, if you had like an audio flicker with the similar ignition, similar all the effects, and you just changed even just the color of it in multiple presets, that uses much less memory than if you have like a fire blade and a unstable and like any of the other new ones that I've done, or an audio flicker. Like the unique styles use the bulk of the code, and then like color and all the other stuff use smaller pieces of it. So it a lot of times people, you get a good amount of presets in it, but sometimes even just taking one preset out opens up a lot more memory. There's a lot of moving parts to it. But if you use that same style in multiple presets just with a different font, it's almost not adding any extra memory.
Wow. Going back to the main homepage, we're like underneath, we're looking at the audio flicker settings.
Yeah.
And you've got like under the first one, it has main blade, blades 2 and 3 for crossguard, and then crystal chamber. My question is, main blade is probably obviously just one channel, right?
So the main blade would be, yeah, your main blade, or if you have a Kylo saber, your main blade. So the idea between that, for the library, particularly for me, if you have a crossguard saber, you're doing a lockup, those side blades really shouldn't be affected. Like it should be the main blade only. So there's certain effects that will not appear on the crossguard code. Now, if you wanted the crossguards to react the same, you'd grab the main blade code and use it on all three. But if you want those crossguards to have their own, like a delayed ignition, or if you wanted them to like not react to the blast or the clash or the lockups, you would choose that code, and you can still customize all of it. But so the blades 2 and 3 is like a shrunk down version of the main blade, and then the crystal chamber is shrunk down a little bit more. But when the blade is off, it has a default pulse, and it's going to match the main blade, but it's going to pulse in and out instead of going black, essentially.
So let's say, because I use pretty much 3 channels for every build I do, would I want to always copy paste the blades 2 and 3 for crossguard mode?
Because if you're using the crossguards, yeah.
Well, no. What I'll usually do, Fernando, is I'll have channel 1 is the blade, channel 2 is the crystal chamber, and channel 3 for accents. And I use the crossguard setting because that automatically loads 3 channels into the config for me.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, you can do. Yeah, you could if you wanted that accent to just react to the main blade only. The crossguard 2 and 3 would be it doesn't react to everything. If you wanted that accent to actually show the lockups and all that other stuff, it depends on the pixels, because if it's like 1 pixel, like those localized and lightning and stuff, it just wouldn't translate because it needs space. But you can pick either one. But the big thing with the blades 2 and 3 is it's really just a more limited version of the main blade, but they're meant to sync up with each other. Same with the crystal chamber. All 3 things are made to work together for different purposes. It's just the main blade does everything, crossguards does a little bit less, and then crystal chamber does a little less, but then it has a pulse when it's off. That's essentially the breakdown.
So if I select main blade, I'm just curious if I'm looking at it right. If I select the main blade, customize, enhance, and then copy and paste from that section, is that essentially like using channel 1? And then if I go to blades 2 and 3 for crossguard, it'll automatically write 3 lines of code for channel 1, 2, 3. And then if I go to crystal chamber, it'll be 1 and 2.
No, so each piece is individual. So you would get the code for the main blade, get the code for the I see.
It's
not. Yeah, you're just pasting in your config, so you would have to go back and grab each piece. Again, I don't have I'm sure there's a way somebody out there could code it to do that. I'm not that sophisticated. So it really is, you design a single piece of code, put it in your config, design another piece of code, put it in your config.
So basically each one of these is kind of like for one channel. So like whatever channel, right, whatever channel your crystal chamber's on, that's what you're going to paste from there. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah, so if you guys want to run through and grab any of these styles, and we can preview them too. You can use that editor to preview everything you put together.
Oh, okay. And also this little YouTube button, is that a preview of?
So that's the preview. Yeah, those are videos that give some more in-depth explanation, particularly some of the new stuff. because again, I try to describe it, but a lot of times even the description doesn't give you a good picture. So I put if I did a video, like usually when I come up with a new idea, I'll do the video, I'll put it out, and I link it there just so you can, again, I like to show everybody what the stuff looks like so that it makes it a little easier to choose. But essentially that's what those are for.
So do you feel like I'm thinking I'm getting this right, where I chose, and maybe it's only in the case of Metal Forge heat up, but I'm in like the Preon emitter effects on blade, and then I chose, you know, Metal Forge heat up. And then I'm thinking that in the next one down, ignition options, at least for Metal Forge, I will have to select Metal Forge, right? I can't like pick another thing.
No, actually, I wouldn't do that. So I made them two because some people like the Preon effect. So they'd want the heating up to be a Preon. If you want the heating up to be your ignition, you would choose it there and just not run a Preon. If you ran those two together, you actually get the same effect back to back. So the Preon would be heating up, and then it would go black again, and then it would heat up again. So you would choose. Yeah, so it's the same effect, just two different uses. If you wanted to use the Preon, I would say on ignition options, probably do like a regular wipe or something, because that might look a little bit better. I mean, you could do them back to back, but you're essentially going to have the same effect: run, stop, and then run again. I
see. So if I choose standard extension, that should work well with the metal.
That would probably look the best. Or if you didn't want to have anything, if you wanted, instead of having the blade start from the base and go up and just do that Metal Forge effect, you would set it as an ignition and just not use a Preon. So, because not everybody has Preons in their console.
I see.
So it gives you the option to do it. So certain effects lend themselves to multiple uses. So that's why I have them in multiple locations.
I see what you mean. Okay.
I want to play with that right now.
Yeah.
Because I love the Metal Forge, and so I'd like to see kind of what Fernando's talking about, like on your Saber space. I got one here too.
So do I have to go through and kind of finish picking the rest of this to try it?
It's defaulted out to give you a solid style. It's like all your blasts, lightning block, melt, all that stuff will automatically drop in. So I default out to the baseline, and then you can add or change to it. So you can pick just the Preon and scroll all the way to the bottom, and you're going to get a full style anyway.
Well,
I see.
Master Maltese, we will have to see the bright colors swing, won't we?
Yeah.
We need that in our life.
Yeah, you're gonna love. You're gonna love that.
Mark needs that in his life. When he swings the lightsaber, it's gonna get brighter.
Yeah,
that's something else, isn't it?
I was just.
And there's a lot of them. So you can do the full blade, and then I've got the cutting edge, which would be it's the top half of your blade, so it keeps the bottom half the color, and the top half gets brighter. So particularly, some of the animated series when the older series, when they would swing, you get this white arc across the screen, but it was wider at the top and narrow at the base. So the cutting edge version is meant to be similar to that, where it almost gives you that kind of a look. So you can do in addition to the type of swing effect, you can choose full blade, cutting edge, or the responsive edge, which actually grows the faster you swing. And you can choose if you want it to always do it, or you can use it as a force boost. So you can do a whole lot of stuff with that swing effect.
I think I may have missed something that you just said. Like, I'm not sure I totally understood that. I need to go back to that swing effect and look again.
Yeah, so I'm pointing at the screen like you can see it. So it's.
So basically, like one half of the blade will react to cutting the air faster.
Yep.
You mean underneath it where it says swing type?
Yeah, so you can choose full blade, you can choose cutting edge or responsive edge.
Cutting edge? Wait, what is that?
So that's
cutting edge.
Yeah, the demo video shows it, but essentially it takes the top half of your blade, and the faster you swing it, the brighter it gets. But it keeps the bottom half of the blade static, so it keeps it whatever your.
It's like a cleaver. All right, we got to do that. Okay, that's wild. Yeah, that's really cool.
I wonder if I have a Preon in this font because I want to play with that.
Well, you don't need it if you choose ignition options. If you just choose it for ignition options, I'm going to have to make sure that whatever font I try to put this on, that we do have that, though, because I did select it for Preon. Let's see here. Let's see if what number 10 is Vengeance. I'm gonna look for this.
I just took advantage of the 5 font sale on Kyberphonic. If you guys want some crazy fonts, go to kyberphonic.com. Jesse is unreal. His fonts are just insane, and they sound the best on my car stereo on Bluetooth. So props to Jesse Kirkbride. Amazing stuff.
I don't see a Prion in that one. Let's check Peace. Let's check Second Sister.
Yeah, that's my favorite font of the week, Space. That's so weird you just said that.
Really?
Yeah, that font's beautiful. From Jedi Fallen Order. Oof.
This is one of the ones with the folders. I'm trying to see which folder it might be in.
Does that have Prions? Because that's the one I was actually going to go look at.
Folder. Yeah, there should
be a Prion folder.
Yeah, yeah. The subfolders usually have the name of what it is, and then that's where it would be.
Okay, I don't think that one has it. Let's try The Rise of Skywalker Reflex.
Is it called Second Sister? In the font file?
Let's see. Yeah, I am looking, but I would not rely on me. Let's see here. I don't see it in any of these. Maybe I should make it the ignition just to be sure.
Yeah, I think it's originally I didn't have a lot. I don't have a ton of fonts because I bought a few, but that gets expensive way too quick. So
yeah.
So I had to. Jesse was kind enough to make me a Prion to test. So that Prion actually is in almost all my videos because I only have like one. And then I ended up getting one from Alex Redmond. He provided for his Black Bishop font. But I got that late in the game, so most of the original videos with the Prion effects are all Jesse's because it was the only one I had, and it worked great actually because I kind of told him what I was looking for and he put it together. So props to him for that. But so that's why the timings and everything and the videos are usually based off of that one. I don't have a lot of fonts with Prions, which is why I may try to back everything up with the ignition option so you can get a similar feel without having to have that effect.
What's a good thing to choose like underneath ignition options after I've chosen Metal Forge Heat Up? Then there's another drop down that says Power Up Effect. Does it have to be none for this, or
you don't have? It can. Everything is whatever you want. I mean, there's no. You can mix and match all of the options. Some of them maybe not look great, but they all work together. So for Metal Forge, I think in my demo video I used the unstable white as a transition. So the Power Up Effect essentially, as your blade ignites. Oh wait, you know what? Don't do that. That was actually a good question because it's going to turn your blade white too fast. Do none for now.
Okay.
I'm thinking my demo video had it as a Prion. Prion, it would be all right. I would say do none for now.
So we'll just see like the natural surge of that heat up.
And then you could tweak it with it. But yeah, actually that would be, that would look a little off.
I'm thinking I'm going to need sunglasses for that one when that burns up. Okay.
Yeah, on the Photon blade, that I want to see what that actually looks like. So.
Like it was just washing me in light the last time. Even JediArmsDealer was like, dude, it's turning everything green.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I at the bottom here, if I choose Get Style, that'll give me the code.
That'll give you the code to your clipboard. If you want to look at it, you can do the check in style editor. And that'll let you go to Frederick's site to preview this, and if you needed to edit it also, so you can edit and change stuff in there. But if you just want the code, you just hit that the get code. It'll put it in your clipboard, and then it's just Control V to drop it in your config or paste.
Okay, we're gonna check it out together here. We'll look at it. Ooh, that's nice.
So basically, Fernando, the just to kind of your and Space's conversation is we should always use Metal Forge on both heat up and cool down. Does that not matter? Because that's what I'm used to from the very first time you pasted the code.
So it's this version is modified for OS4 to work in more spots. The old one was kind of it did its thing. This one's more, it's streamlined, but it's also more kind of flexible.
Okay.
But yeah, it's so the power up effect and the cooldown effect, they overtake the blade. So for something like this, it would overtake the blade for the period while it's red, so it probably wouldn't look great. You could try it, but it might not. It might take away from the other effect.
Right. So is that the one you're programming right now, Space? Because I'm going to do something different just so we can trip out on these blades.
Yeah, like I don't have the power off being the metal heat up, but what I did choose was like this blue color, which I think is like going to be optimized for the photon, like underneath the photonic green blade. I think like it will react the best to this like kind of bluish, like cyan type of whitish thing that, like Fernando said, it's gonna do something when it, like when you swing it on the cutting edge. That's just gonna be, I think it's trying to show it in the style editor.
Yeah,
right?
it basically loops in the style editor. So that top half of the blade is getting brighter.
Yeah.
In person, so you chose the bright color version, so it stays blue. If you choose white, it'll actually get even brighter. So the bright color is basically, it basically takes the base color and enhances it. I forget the calculation, but it keeps the color, just adds the other dyes into the mix so that it gets closer to white, but it'll keep the color. If you go to pure white, particularly with that photon blade, that top edge is going to be really bright.
You know what I think we should set up, like, not to get too ahead of myself, but we should set up one after this that like almost has like a bass flare to it a lot of the time. So it, like, maybe, I don't know why anyone would want to do this, but I kind of do, like to make it kind of look like an LED saber where it's like a little bit brighter at the bottom.
Yeah, you could just add the emitter flare. That'll drop it right on.
That is so sick.
Well, I saw that the new Leia saber, when they got installed and they came in, people were demoing them on YouTube, and they had, I don't know if you came up with this, Fernando, probably, where the blade retracts and then the emitter from inside the emitter looks like it's cooling off.
Oh yeah, yeah, the emitter cool off. That's an option. Yeah, I designed one. Other guys have taken it and done their own thing with it, but I had designed one a while back, and it's in the library. It's one of the options.
That was sweet, because I'm like looking down at the end of my blade where it disappears into the emitter, and I'm like, why does it look like it's cooling off down in there? That's cool.
Yeah, a long time ago, somebody had actually asked for it on TRA, and I don't remember them. But they wanted it to be like the metal was cooling off, so I developed an effect, and it's just an option you add. Other people have done variations on it, so the one you saw might not have been one of mine, but I had done one originally, and the library also has it.
Nice, I like that. Retraction, post off. Responsive lockup. So the responsive lockup V2 is the one that moves up and down the blade with the, you said Y-axis?
Yeah, X and Y. So if you're side to side or forward back, because if you're, depending on where you are body-wise, it's basically reacting to those two axes, the angle of the blade to move.
Nice. Responsive lightning block.
Yeah, so I had seen you guys using the old style generator for the lightning block. The lightning block, instead of having to replace lockup now in the OS, is its own unique effect. So you can have lockup and lightning block, and they're just separate controls for them. And it gives you the kind of just adds to it.
Now, when you say separate controls, is that a button thing or a motion thing?
Yeah. Depends on your button config. It's if
that's what
I know you have the one button. Yeah, the one button, particularly Daryl's, I don't know. But it would typically, it would be because you only have one button. It obviously is going to be that button, so it's going to have to be some other gesture that's tied to it.
Right.
But if you have a 2-button for the default settings, the lightning block now would be you hold your power button and you just click aux, and as long as you hold that power button, it's going to do that lightning effect. But all the other button configs kind of have their own controls.
So the one thing that Fernando was telling me, that Fett was telling me over email, was that some of this code, and I think you mentioned it earlier in the stream, that some of the code that we were using because of the previous iteration of the generator what is actually too long. Oh, well, not too long, but it's unnecessarily long.
Yeah, it's
coding
redundant.
space.
Yeah, so you've got it. I mean, when I stare at the code, I joke, but it's kind of like in the Matrix when they say, "I don't see code anymore. I see the style."
That's awesome.
It's from being in it too much. It's definitely a compulsion. But the pulsing gradient that you have in all of those, that's the old way to do lockup. And if you actually break it down, you see the number of the same blade repeated a bunch of times. It's to create the effect, but we don't have to do it that way anymore. So you basically have a lot of redundancy in that code that just doesn't need to be there. It works. It'll work great. It's just if you started putting a ton of styles on, a ton of presets on, that's going to be one of the areas where if you needed to add more, you'd really want to cut that back.
Yeah,
I see. Like for instance, if you had one of those lightsabers like JediArmsDealer would make with like lots of channels, you would need to make sure you kind of have a tight.
Yeah, and I mean, we can go down a whole rabbit hole on what layers do to it, but these are the older syntax, and they basically each style wraps around the one on top of it. One of the things that makes OS4, and this is all Frederick, is he actually broke it out so every effect is now its own unique layer, and they lay on top of each other, almost as if you were doing like a Photoshop or one of those other programs where you have your base, and then you stack glass on top of it, you stack lockup, and you just layer them. So it actually reduces the code, but it also makes it easier to pick and choose the pieces that you're looking at. Whereas this, the older style, like to me, I can read all that, but to other people, it looks like, it's all jumbled together. The new layers actually also makes it easier for people to read it.
Interesting. So like, you could tell what's going on via this code if it wasn't too small, but on your screen. But the newer code, you could more immediately tell. I guess it's like simpler for you.
So like you'd have like responsive lockup as a line. You'd see the color and you see the other parameters that control it. So if you wanted to change the color of lockup, it's just right in front of you. Here you'd have to do a little bit of digging. I mean, you could still pick it out, but it's more compressed essentially. But so for your purposes, the other thing too with that old style generator is it's not going to do the melt effect. It's not going to do the lightning work because they didn't exist back then. Yeah. But if you use the library, you'll get them all automatically.
It's going to take me another month just to try out all this new stuff you've created, man.
Mark needs his saber yesterday.
Yeah, it took me a month just to figure out and wrap my head around most everything that Proffiie could do back when it first came out.
Well, that's why I'm kind of glad that like Mark stuck to like 10 fonts here, so like I can like reasonably attach some cool styles to this, especially with the help that Fernando provides with these generators. That it won't take me too long. Like we'll show you, we'll kind of show you guys that are watching, like how quickly and easily this can actually get to the lightsaber. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm actually.
I mean that's what I hoped for. Yeah, it's the ability to just cut and paste is what I was really going for. Because, I mean, if somebody, and that's open source in general, if somebody comes up with a cool style and they post it, pretty much everybody in the open source group, if you say, hey, I love that, they'll send you the style code, you copy and paste it, and then you get it. Instead of like, it's great to design stuff, but also there are people who are like, I got an event this weekend and I just want a cool blade and I saw this video or I saw so-and-so posted this on Facebook. And you ask them, you just if they give you the code, you just paste it in, load it up, and you're off and running. So it's, and pretty much everybody I've encountered just openly shares their code, which just that's how I got started, and that's why I continue to like make these available.
Yeah, I remember when I released the Dimitri chassis SID video, I had a bunch of people come in and say, hey, can you just send me your entire config? I want to start with that baseline. I was like, here. You just copy and paste the text. Email it to them, whatever. That part is super cool. You can just share.
That's everything. The whole beauty of that open source situation. Like it's like you are a Jedi programming the way the lightsaber is going to look precisely, and that's maybe why it takes a real Jedi like a month to make a lightsaber. Because you have to really tune it up.
Yeah, I mean, you can go down a rabbit hole real quick. It's I still have a few sabers that I haven't moved over to 4.7 because I still have stuff in my head that I haven't put down yet. So those will get updated when I catch up. It's a first world problem to have, is that you have too much freedom, I guess. So
right. And time on your hands since the state of affairs in the world. So it's worked out for us Saber people because you're doing this stuff. Holy crap! We're going to see what's going to happen here. I have no idea what this thing's going to do right now. Let's see. Let's see if we can do the twist. Oh, what?
Oh.
What the heck is that?
Which one did you grab?
I have no idea. There's too much to choose from, man.
It's so bright I can't actually tell what it's doing.
There's my there's the tip. Oh, wait.
Great looking blade. Great looking blade.
You know what? You guys are gonna laugh. It went back to font 1. Let me go.
Robert DeRosa says, "Keep up the great work, Fernando."
Yeah,
that's my son. He's watching.
Let me get back to the font I actually programmed. That was font 1. So I wasn't even showing you guys the right font. How funny is that?
Bert's here. What's going on, Bert?
There it is. All right, here we go.
Jag Nutcracker, lots of rabbit holes. I didn't see that ignition. I was looking down.
All right. Redo for Space Windu. Oh! So it does.
Is that burning off? Whoa, dude.
So it's a regular ignition.
All right, we need that.
Like a cycle blade ignition. You see that?
What? What was that? What was that? What did you choose?
And then when you turn it off, it turns off with the metal forge.
Cool down. Yep.
Wow.
So you chose the metal cool down, but a different ignition?
I just wanted to see if it would work.
They're all interchangeable. You can pick any of the options.
Ooh, it's so nice.
I'm already breaking the rules, man.
There is no rules. It's whatever you want.
Wow, man.
Oh, you've got a responsive lockup, so try that. Get that lockup active and get that blade moving.
Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Oh.
Now, change the angle of your blade.
Oh,
wow.
Nice demo.
Closer.
I could see that.
It's closer to my
I
hand.
could see that. That's beautiful for photography. Beautiful for filmmakers.
Dude, well done, man.
Mike Starwalker, are you watching this? Oh my God. Oh my God.
That's nuts.
Oh wow, dude. Anybody
Nice.
who's doing like choreography or any type of photography or any type of film for this, oh man, that is Fernando. I don't even think you know what you're doing for these people that are, need to like do live performances and stuff like that. This is a whole new level.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I've done some videos with my son. I'm horrible with the saber. I don't have the coordination. I also don't practice it. But I always try to say that if somebody who knows what they're doing got a hold of this stuff, it'd look even better than what I'm doing. So it's I'm hoping. I'd love to see some of the people that are out there doing all this choreography who know like the real forms and stuff to actually have these effects and be able to use them to the fullest. Because what I'm doing is I'm essentially demoing stuff for people to hopefully take and do even more with it. I should practice, but I'm not that good with a saber.
Well, we need you in the programming room anyway. Awesome. This stuff is crazy. Like I'm wondering, well, all right, I was going to say, should I go back and do the metal cooldown thing that like I just saw? That was too much.
Just go change the option. You go back to it. It should have held what you had already. Just go back, change the option, and then you should be good.
Yeah, re-export. Yep, your turn, Space.
This is nutty. Post off effect. Okay, retraction options. Let's do metal forge cooldown. Okay, I'm gonna get checking editor. I'll pull up this editor so we all can look.
Yeah, this is sweet, Fernando. I had no idea you had done this much work on the newer stuff. Wow.
Yeah. Hey, I'm glad. Yeah, I was. I was happy to see you guys using the old stuff, but I was like, oh, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I did make that, but there's better.
I guess Space and I'll rename it our nostalgia video.
Well, I mean, that's the great thing though. Everything's backwards compatible, so it all still works. It's just I was like, oh yeah, that's good, but there's more that I wanted to kind of at least let you guys know.
Well, look at it this way: if those 2 videos were an SOS, look who came to the rescue.
Oh no, you guys were doing great. I was more. It was more myself. I was like, oh, I left that line. I should have taken that down, or I should have put a note that there's a better one.
Yeah. He's like, I want to show them what they can do for real. Yeah. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, Mark, you're gonna bug out. I think we're all gonna bug out when we see this. So this is like the way it's gonna look, and then if I turn it off, it'll do like JediArmsDealer Saber just did. Oh man. But you know what? on the next one we need that sparkly up thing that you had, Master Maltese. That was nutty. You gotta remember that. Yeah, he had like a sparkle up. I don't know what it was.
It's called cycle up under ignition options. Yep.
Oh yeah.
It's there's like too many cool things. I guess I need to keep the options down so that the whole week doesn't go by and we don't eat. Okay.
Well, that's why when Frederick got the editor working, because originally and Frederick put a ton of work into the editor that you're using. Originally it wasn't available, so it was a little harder for people to choose. Once he got that editor working, that's why I put that check an editor button, because you can play with so many things that. Like I load everything up on the Saber and test it, but it is time consuming. But having that editor available to both edit but also preview it makes you can run through all the options really quick, see which one you really like, and choose it much better now that he made that available.
So I think I know what to do, but let's just have you walk me through it. So like let's say I want to put it on this font, which is Blind Cowboy.
Okay.
And I would highlight, I think, let me see from the previous.
You're gonna highlight, yeah. I'll watch you, and then I think on the other videos you're already doing it, so.
I think I'm highlighting up to this comma, and I'm leaving that comma.
Yes.
Yes. And then Fernando, while we're on this subject, what is the reason for the different colors in parentheses in the default? Is that just a note maker? Or?
It's a note, yeah. I don't actually use them myself. You don't need it. If you leave those, if you take that quotation like fire out, it works fine. It's an additional, just a definition. That one is, everything else in your config matters. So every single bracket and comma and quotation matters, except for that last one right before the close bracket where it says fire and quotations. That's just a description of what the style is. It doesn't hurt to have it. It doesn't hurt to remove it. If it's there, usually I tell people to leave it, but if you're missing it, because sometimes people watch the videos and their config, if somebody like installed, is missing it, and they ask if they have to add it, you don't have to add that. That one parameter is kind of like it's additional, it's not required. But if you have it, I'd say leave it because you're used to seeing it. And the one thing, like even still myself, the one thing that trips people up is sometimes they'll accidentally copy over a comma or they'll accidentally copy over a bracket. Right. And then you go to upload, you get that compile error, and that compile error runs like really long, and it looks really scary to people. And they're like, "Oh no, what did I do?" It's just telling you that, well, something's missing, and it's not easy to break down. But it's typically because you highlighted just a little more than you should have and pasted over it.
Yeah, I actually like it as a note taker. I just found it interesting that it pops up like when you go to the config generator page. For like, Proffieboard 1.5 or 2.2, and you're generating that initial config code, the pull downs are for single blade have the colors in there in parentheses, but then when you go to like crossguard, which loads 3 channels and 3 lines of blade code, all those little colors in parentheses are gone. So I didn't know what they were when Space and I were first doing a single blade config. I didn't know what they were for, but that's a good idea.
It's just a note. It doesn't hurt anything to have it. It doesn't hurt anything to be missing.
Yeah, I actually prefer it now because it's easier to read through your lines of code.
Now, this is something that like hasn't happened to me the previous times where like I pasted it in, but I see an extra space here and also the indentation isn't there. Is that a problem?
No. Yeah, and that's a good question. Spaces and line breaks in that don't matter at all. Oh. And actually, if you go to the editor, there's a format that can layerize, and it'll break everything out into individual lines. It'll make it super long, but it makes it easy to read. But the config file, it's the line breaks and spaces don't matter. You can have like 50 spaces if you want it. It doesn't matter. And you can hit enter after everything. As long as you don't delete something. It's the brackets, the commas, and the quotations are what tell it what to do, plus the actual code. But yeah, sometimes because of how I do the library, it's just JavaScript. It spits it out as one really long string. And depending on what editor you're using, it won't end or it'll give you a weird breaks because it doesn't know where to wrap, because it's literally just a jumble. But that's just the limitation of the output. It doesn't affect it one way or the other.
Okay, so I saved that in my text edit, which it saved it with the .h, and now I'm going to open up my Arduino program. Oh, this looks different though.
That was another thing Space and I kind of struggled with setting up his newer Mac in text edit. We had to go in and change his preferences to like simple text, things like that. Otherwise, it was messing with the code.
I don't have a Mac, but we've seen a few people recently on the open source group posting that they're having problems. And it was it was like a non-ASCII character for quotation I was putting in.
Right.
That was and it happened like in a lump, like a bunch of people all posted at the same time. They're like, why am I getting this error? And I was looking at it, I was like, I don't see anything wrong. And then I actually had them send me the file, and I loaded it, and I was like, oh wait, I was like, this is a weird quotation mark. But yeah, there's a bunch of guys on open source who have Mac who can help better with it. But yeah, if you had the wrong settings, it was changing the quotation marks to like formatted one, and it just couldn't understand what it was.
Yeah, well, I'm using an older MacBook Pro, and right out of the box, my stock Mac text edit program was fine. It didn't create any errors. But when we went to go set everything up on Space's system, I noticed it was messing up, and it was when you go to save the text file, it was changing the icon of the config file to like just a regular raw text, a .rtf, and I was like, well, that's got to be the problem. So for all you Mac users out there, maybe go to open source, or I'd have to pull up the preferences in text edit, but they do need to be changed on the newer OSs. Somebody went in there and changed them from the old OS to a newer update, so that the stock Mac text edit program kind of screws everything up. So note to Mac users, newer Mac users.
Now, this doesn't look the same as last time for me. I think I moved folders around or something. Something went wonky.
Yeah, you don't have Proffiie OS INO open. That's just Arduino by itself. So if you go to File Open, you should be able to navigate to it.
Let's see here.
Or Space, go ahead and quit out of that, and then you can go to your you can do it that way. Or you can go, if you quit out and you go back to your source folder, and then open
and launch out of that,
and launch from that. That'll.
Am I looking for lightsaber Eno? What am I looking for? I forgot what I was looking for.
You're looking for PROFFIEOS.eno in the original folder we were working out of that has the config folder in it.
Okay.
Lots of folders.
Yeah, the INO file is really the only one you got to deal with, and your config file. Everything else is what makes it work.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah, I was telling Space I can't wait for him to get an OLED so he can program it to say Space Windu every time he turns his saber on.
Yeah.
It's the little things.
I don't have any of those. I've seen a lot of people do crazy stuff with those too.
They're fun.
Yeah, Proffiie OS, so that's what you need.
Yeah, it's fun because it actually has like a display when you open up the text file, and you can change what the PLI symbols look like by altering the graphic in there. It's pretty cool.
You got an error. Let's take a peek.
It says, yeah, let me see if I can zoom in here.
you can grab that orange bar and stretch that up a little bit. It'll let you read more of that.
It says fork exec private.
Scroll
maybe it
up.
doesn't see.
Let's scroll in that orange window. If you can scroll. It looks
scroll
like
up. I see.
It's,
I just see black above there.
That's it. That's a weird one. I don't know what.
I wonder if it's because I moved. Does it not know where to look for that? Like I took that folder off the desktop and I kind of filed it. I filed it away in a folder. Do you think it has to be like on the desktop or something?
Oh, it does. Yeah, that's what it is. Space. It's got to be. It can't be inside another folder.
Okay.
Yeah, because they can't see it. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, let's move that out.
So Fernando, what's the last 501st thing you did?
Oh man, it's been a while. Rise of Skywalker, and then we had something after that. I can't remember though. The Rise of Skywalker, I did a bunch of events for. But yeah, we kind of because January is when stuff started to kind of slow down. So it's been a while.
That's cool. Did you have tickets to Celebration Anaheim?
No, I haven't done a celebration since 2. I'm first of all being married with kids and responsibilities, it's a big expense and it's changed so much that like when I did Celebration 1 in Denver, which was like a mud show and it was nowhere near what people nowadays celebrate. I'm old. Celebration 2 was a lot of fun, but then I didn't do 3, and then I got married, got a job, got kids, and I haven't been back to 1. Eventually, I hope to get something, go to 1. But my friends who've gone to some of them, it seems so like scheduled and crowded and crazy. It's not what I'm used to even. So I feel like I'd be disappointed because when we did like Celebration 2 was just like a giant party and you did whatever you wanted and you didn't have to like wait in line for like ever to do something. It was just like everybody on a giant floor having a great time. I don't know if I'm used to things an old way, and I feel like the new way, like if people are used to it, it's great, but I feel like I'd be disappointed. So that's the other reason I haven't really gone.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, because Comic-Con is pure chaos out here. Even though I love to go, it's exhausting. Like, it's exactly what you're talking about. Super scheduled and just chaos trying to get a seat in the different rooms. And so I know what you mean. Yeah,
I used to do Dragon Con forever. That's actually where I met the 501st. And even that, like I had gone several years back, but it after being away and going back, it was so different. I was like, it's not what my experience and memories were. It's great that it's so popular and all these things, and there's so many more people in the fandom. But at the same time, those of us who have been around for so long, we remember when it was really just like a small niche of people doing this stuff. Now it feels like half the population's doing it, and because of that, it's just not the same experience.
Yeah, one of my favorite old school celebrations was they had like a after hours party, and they had it all set up like a nightclub, and they had like a DJ in there that was playing all like Star Wars remixes and stuff. It was pretty cool. People dancing.
Yeah, we did Celebration 2. A bunch of my buddies from the garrison. We actually hit a bar in Indianapolis. We ended up partying with Tamara Morrison and his buddy. So nice. We just went out to a bar and he's there. And I used to do Boba Fett, and he was doing Jango Fett. And this was before the film, so we didn't know the whole like clone thing at the time. But we were just hanging out, and all my buddies were like, "Dude, that's Jango. That's your dad." And like we went over, we hanging out and chatting. And he was really cool about it. I feel like in today's climate, that would never happen. Like it just seems very different.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten overly popular, right? In a weird sort of way at the conventions.
It's great, but it also
yeah.
You're still getting that same error?
Yeah. So I moved the whole Proffie folder to my desktop. I quit Arduino and relaunched it by double-clicking ProffieOS.ino, and then I hit the check mark here for verify, and it's equating back to the Mark F config, which is in here.
Yeah, double check your Mark F configs in there, Space. It is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that that's what this was saving. Well, like, look at the top of this. Can you see this? Let me see here.
Yeah, it's small for me. I can't quite see anything.
Is this wrong up here where it says Proffieboard v1 config.h on this?
Do you have a V1 board or a V2.2?
V1.
Okay, then that's fine.
Okay.
That's actually what I'm using as well right now in my test saber.
And then, can you zoom in on the Arduino? I can't read that message.
Yeah. Oh, it's zooming in on the
Oh yeah, on
the error, but
I can't see that. We can see. Yeah, we need the error to zoom in.
Fork /exec /private /
I don't know what that's talking about.
BDR folders.
None of those folders are.
And you just have the main folder that says Proffie OS on your desktop, Space?
Well, it's in, let me tell you what the folder is called here.
Yeah, it has to be Proffie OS as the primary folder, or that will definitely.
It does. Yeah,
okay.
and
that's
so
on your desktop.
Yes.
Okay, so you don't have a folder in a folder, then both called Proffie OS, right?
No, I'm on the desktop here. I got it called the Proffie OS, and then this stuff is in there with, like, I guess a folder full of different configs, and Marks is one of those in there.
Okay, yeah, that looks right. Maybe close Arduino again, just. Okay. And then go back up into that folder and do the INO. Yeah, that looks good.
Like double click on this OS, Proffie OS.
Proffie OS, INO, yeah.
And so you're getting the error on verify, right, Space?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
here we are with that. Mark.
All right, it's in the desktop. It's in the Proffie OS folder. Yeah, try it now. Because I haven't seen that error message before. Now, I don't know all the error messages, but that one does not look like one I've come across. That is...
It's like...
strange. I don't know what private is. Java tool builder.
Add CPU type and executable.
Look at your drop-down settings. Where's the settings?
In Arduino?
Yeah, in Arduino. Let's just make sure you got
his tools setting.
Yeah, tools, and then make sure you have Proffieboard. You got
Serial, SD card 80, smallest code.
That looks right. Yeah, that all looks to be.
I wonder if it has something to do with the fact that, like, whatever the new Mac operating system, is, like, since the last time we did this lesson, JediArmsDealer and I had to update for whatever reasons they had, and that's the only thing I can think of that's kind of changed.
Yeah, it shouldn't get in the way of this, though, because you didn't make any changes to everything. Looks set up right.
Was it a Mac OS update or an Arduino update?
A Mac OS update that was like Catalina.
So it actually took you up a system?
Yeah, I guess I went from High Sierra to Catalina, I think is what it did, or maybe whatever. There was a couple in between there, maybe. Let me try something else here.
Another thought might be maybe it just didn't like the fact that folder went into a subfolder and then off the desktop, and so maybe a restart would remind it that it's on the desktop, the raw folder.
Oh.
Don't know. But that is interesting. You did an update.
Yeah, make sure it didn't like make a bookmark of it, I guess, is maybe it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know Mac. I'm not seeing anything that you've done that looks wrong.
Let me just try one thing here. If, here it is. I don't know.
I'm just going to Command Z back and then try it again.
I could do that too. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't seem like a blade style code error, but
no, the style errors would give you a template.
Yeah,
it wouldn't actually do anything.
Yeah, same error. Okay, let's say something else.
Private. Yeah, that looks like something to do. I mean, I see folders in there. I can't quite read all of it though.
I can bump this up probably.
fork/exec/private.
I do not know that one. Can't say I've run into it. I'm gonna just see if I do a quick search on open source if anybody's run into that.
From an OS update.
I'm going to put that in the private chat and let me copy that error. I'll send it to you in a private chat, Fernandez, if you want to see that. I mean, I'm pretty much 100%. It's something like I'm doing that I just don't know enough to like know what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah, let's see. What was that saying?
Will it mess up the live feed if you restart Space?
It's possible you guys would remain in there. I'm not sure.
So the live feed's going through this Mac?
You know what, though? Let me try what you said first, which is try to get a, without that new style I put in, try to get a confirmation, right, on like just something working. And if like a standard one doesn't work, then we can try that.
As in Command Z backwards, just in
Well,
case?
I don't know if I can do that because I had since closed this document. So when I Command Z, I can't get back.
Right.
Yeah, I don't see anything like that error listed.
Take one that does work.
Yeah, it looks like somebody in the chat, Cold Weather, said that he has to close his config file on Mac. Did you guys have to do that previously, or?
No, we could leave it open for editing the whole time because that's what I normally do.
We were leaving it open. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I don't have Mac, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, that is an interesting one.
Huh.
I wonder if it wasn't like his preferences might have been set up to where it wasn't physically saving it all the way until he closed out of TextEdit, if he's using TextEdit.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I did it the way that you said, where I should like open with TextEdit. Let's try this again.
Yeah.
Same error. So I think it's something related to something new because like trying to get it to recognize like a way that it worked previously is also showing me that error. So it has nothing to do with like trying to put a blade style in. It's just something else.
It might be. I mean, we can probably just try to grab a new zip file of the OS and put it to the maybe moving it did some. I don't know why it would if you moved it back, but maybe just try that. Just grab go to the Proffieboard, ProffieOS site, grab that 4.7 download and extract it to the right folder on the desktop. Move that other folder away. We can take your config from the one and bring it to the new one. Yeah, I wish I knew Mac. That's where I don't have experience.
Okay, let's see here.
Yeah, I think you still got that bookmark.
Yeah,
right, Anthony, the ProffieOS generator page. Or no, you don't need that. You need
Just the zip file, yeah.
right for 4.7, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, that's going to be really mean of Macintosh if the update like messes something up.
It's been
with
messing me
Arduino.
up like the past week on other things, but I didn't see the same. I didn't see the same problem. Like I didn't see the same pop-up window that caused me problems in other programs. So I actually checked it before we went live just to make sure, because like other programs forced a restart because of this new operating system. This one just asked to look to the desktop, to look to documents folder, and I said okay. It didn't ask to restart. So let's try this.
Well, this used to happen back in the days of DJing, and every time I'd go up to a new Mac OS, I'd have to go back to the website that created, the DJ program for my digital turntables.
Oh.
And I'd have to go to their site and upload a patch that was for the newer OS. So thanks, Mac.
Yeah, typically I don't. This doesn't seem to pop up. So typically it's pretty straightforward. So I mean, it's a good chance for some troubleshooting, but.
Exactly. Everyone out there watching can learn from this if they're having to update their OS.
Okay, I've got the folder. I am going to, anybody that needs this current version of Proffie OS can go to this link if you're not already familiar with that. That's where I just got that from. And let's see here. Okay, so I've got that. It's actually called Proffie OS 2 on my desktop, I guess, because I never got rid of the other one.
Oh, because you have you'll have to change that name to PROFFIEOS. It won't like that. And then within that the original copy, you can get that config.h file and copy that over to the new one, and then you'll just map to it, and you should be good.
I wonder, Space, if you should do a test as is out of the box with 4.7 before you add your config.
Yeah, like the one that it
Well, the default, yeah, that's not a bad idea.
it comes with. Okay.
Just in case something freaky is going on with the text file, the config file.
I hope that's the case, right?
Then
Yeah, I mean, the config would give different errors. Either it wasn't being
True.
seen. That looked like a folders thing because I mean, it said I couldn't read the whole thing, but it said folders, and there was something about permission or something. So
I think it attached something to the folder when it got put in a subfolder, and it's just not getting rid of it, maybe until a restart. But this would fix it without a restart.
Yeah, so if you just verify this one, if it gives that exact same error, then there's something going on with the Mac.
Your OS. Yep. Agreed.
So this one's going to look to. This is how we find out what it's going to look to.
Yeah.
It's going to look to this folder, which is the default in the folder I just downloaded, right? And it should be safe to just test this right now to see if everything verifies through my.
It's that same error. There's something going on. It might be Mac OS. We need somebody who knows Mac better.
Well, do you think I should try to do that restart? See if you guys like stay there, or what do you think?
We can, yeah.
Yeah, let's try that. And if that doesn't work, you may need to go to the Arduino homepage and see if there's a patch or something you can download that fixes it for the new Mac OS.
Yeah, it's weird.
That is weird. Okay, let me try that.
Okay. If you lose us, we'll
if I lose you, we will come back in a couple minutes. Anybody that's watching, if the stream goes out, just check my channel in a couple minutes. I will restart the stream when my computer restarts. I don't know if that's going to help, but I hope the Saber gods allow that to be the answer because I'd love to move forward and see some of these styles on my lightsaber.
Right.
Okay, so I will bounce out and then I'll see if you guys remain. Okay, I'll be right back. Hopefully.
Come on, Saber Gods.
Yeah. Somebody said hit up Brian. Yeah, Brian knows Mac. I don't. He's obviously not in here. But it's looking like the folder, either the OS or that folder. Although the folder move would have been fixed when he pulled the new one.
Exactly.
So,
no, I'm thinking it's got to be a Mac OS thing at this point, which is super.
Typically the errors you would get would be just simple, like a forgotten comma or something, or a missing file. That error I haven't run into. I'm
curious, Fernando, when you go to upload, does it upload the config before like the base body code of operations?
So it essentially, and again, I'm not a programmer, but essentially what Arduino's doing is that whole OSINO is kind of like it's the recipe of the operating system that's going to run on the board. And it starts at the top and it goes and then it hits that config file and it says to include the config. And it goes and reads everything in that config and it shoves that in. And then it goes through all the other steps and it basically, so every time you flash the board, you're really creating a custom brand new OS that runs on the board.
Right.
The config file is just your specific recipe of, I want it to do this, this, and this. I want this color, this color, this color. I want this font, this font, this font. And then Arduino takes it and I'm probably butchering the explanation, but it essentially turns all those different separate files into the operating system that runs on the processor on the board, which then makes everything happen. So when it's doing its compile, it's checking for errors or missing pieces, because if it was like essentially trying to like make a meal based on your recipe and your recipe is for chicken, but there's no chicken available, it's saying, hey, you told me you want chicken, you didn't give me any type of thing. So
So because the config read is at the top of all of that code in the Arduino program, is it kind of injecting the config before everything else, and that's why maybe you'll get a config error early in the upload?
Almost every error that I've ever encountered, unless if you go in and mess with the INO file, you break something, it would be something different. But if most of the time the errors are because something's a missing setting in the config, a missing comma. I've done it myself where you're going quick and you delete a comma that's needed. It doesn't understand what you're trying to ask it. It gives that error. But almost all the errors I encounter are config errors, or maybe a style is missing. Like sometimes people just type the wrong color name. Like you go to type red and then you add like an extra E or something, and it doesn't know what that is. That's usually what you run into. When you get stuff like that folders error, or sometimes you'll get like a missing, it can't find the config file. I forget the wording. Sometimes people save that .h file as a .txt.
Right. So
you're telling it to look for config.h. There's no config.h because it's your computer turned it to config.txt. So it's saying, hey, you're telling me to look for this file. It's not there. And I tell people, just go make sure that it's the .h. And when they do and fix it, it works fine.
Yeah, so, or RTF. I'll see sometimes it'll save it as a raw text file. Yep. Okay. Yeah, because Space and I joke about how, well, if you're going to get an error on the config, it usually happens in the first 3 seconds.
Typically.
That was the reason why, is because it's kind of injecting the config first and then writing all that code under it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's looking at that first, and that's also the thing you mostly interact with. So that's where most of the mistakes would come in.
Cool. So I can ask you some questions about the customized part, because I'm still in the screen building the second blade style for mine right now, and it says responsive. And I've seen a bunch of your videos, but I don't memorize every little tiny one that's in here because you've got a ton of stuff. Responsive extension. How does that work?
So that one, there's 2 versions on that. It uses the blade angle to change the timing. So the responsive, the first one, if your you can change it, but if your blade's facing up, it goes 1 speed, and every degree from facing up towards down, it slows it or speeds up that extension.
Nice.
And then there's also the dual mode one, which is usually for cross guard. So like Kylo saber, if you watch the films, half the time Kylo ignites, the main blade goes, a few seconds later side blade goes. Other scenes, he ignites, they all three go at the same time.
You're right.
So I created the dual mode version where if you have your saber basically above parallel, it ignites all at the same time. If you just tip it a little below parallel or facing down anywhere in that range, it delays those sides. So again, because we can now use the angle of the blade, the turn or the Z-axis turning of the hilt to change what's happening on the blade, it just opens up all these new possibilities.
That's amazing, because you have like, you know, your Vader hallway scene, and he has his saber pointed down. And I noticed like in that clip, once he activates the saber, it kind of looks like the beam is, you know, the plasma's going down. Right. It goes like slow. So that's kind of what you've done then, is slow it down when the saber's down versus up. It's a quick ignition. Wow. That's super
and you
cool.
can, I mean, again, everything's customizable. You can also flip it. So if you want it to be slow and facing up, you would just change the numbers essentially.
Right.
So.
And so dual mode extension, is that kind of what you were explaining to Space earlier, where you can break the blade up into multiple?
Oh, no. So there's two responsive ones. The main responsive extension, so say pointing up is 300 and pointing down is 800.
Okay.
If you're at parallel to the ground, which would be 50%, it would be, why am I having a hard time with math? So 500 difference would be 550 speed. Sure. So it reacts to every degree of change to change that speed. So you actually, every single angle changes the speed a little bit. The dual mode only has 2 speeds, and it triggers the speed facing up or facing down only, because sometimes like just changing it a little bit it wasn't as noticeable, because if you go from changing from 800 milliseconds to 700 milliseconds, it's not that noticeable to your eye. So the dual mode is more, it's either like a long or a slow, and then there isn't all those different like increments.
Wow. That's pretty wild. You've put a ton of thought into this stuff, man. So I got to ask about glitch on. What does that look like?
So that one, that's why I break that down. That should be, it's like a false ignition. So it'll turn on and then like glitch out and then go back on. And it's like if you had like a faulty ignition switch type thing, that's where that one came from. Like, so yeah, I think it does. Yeah, I think it ignites it, and then it pulls it right back, and then it goes again, like as if like
it's struggling.
Or something. Yeah.
Right. Like your kyber crystal's corrupted or something. You know, a different type of corruption. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
You're not that good at building your saber yet.
Right. So what does explain assemble to me? Because I'm seeing some of these for the first time, even after watching some of your videos.
Oh yeah, assemble is that's a crazy one, but essentially it takes different pieces of the blade. I kind of call it my Tetris blade. So it would take one piece and stack it at the emitter. Next piece slides down, builds up the next level, and so basically your blade is all these different pieces coming together to form the full blade.
I know. Oh, I got to see that. I'm selecting that for my next blade style then. Ignition. Yeah, so I see what you're saying. Like it's a buildup of the pixels upon ignition, like Tetris. Yeah. Holy, wow. All right, Space. What did the gods say?
I don't know. I just came back live, so I'm going to try this again.
Oh, here's Jesse on here. Kyberphonic.
Yeah. Hey, Jesse.
Is there a way to have the delay?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah. So right now, the responsive ignition, responsive retraction, as well as the responsive delays, they're effects only. It was something that I had asked Frederick about, and it didn't get into OS4, but it's not completely off the table. It would be a future update because it's a lot more complicated to try to have the sounds match up based on the ignition, based on the angle of the blade. What blade angle and twist angle in particular, along with swing speed, are doing is they're affecting the effects. They're not actually changing anything in the sound file. So it would be it was a bigger lift to do the ignition sounds. So like for my Kylo, I have your Jesse's unstable. I use the one that has the delayed ignition sound, even when the delay doesn't happen. And a lot of times, because of all the sounds going on, it's not as noticeable. If you listen for it, you would notice in the videos that there's actually that second ignition sound, even when all three light up at once. But the sound isn't affected yet, but it'll probably be a future update.
Now I got a question for everyone. Now that I got all the freaking badass makers in one place, as far as the font makers go, would it be easier? And maybe this is a question for Matthew McGeary and Frederick. Wouldn't it be easier to chain the accent swings when spinning 360 versus maybe activating spins? Because a lot of the font makers, some of the older smooth swing fonts, don't have dots or spin dot wave files in their fonts on Saber fonts. So I just, it's kind of an outside the box question. Like, I'm wondering if it would be easier for us to make when was the system smart before in the fork, where I want to verify that, where if there were no spins, it would chain the accents.
Yeah, so that's in a lot. Actually, a lot of the effect sounds, and again, I'm not the expert on the sound side, but they have what's called a fall through. So if you're missing a file, it would use something else. So that's all that would be. So if you have a spin file, it would use spins. If spin's missing in the OS, it would say use that, and it would use it. And yeah, Matt did a lot in the fork for the OS for the spins in his fork. Some of the accent swings came over. The spins are in like a test version, but they're still being tweaked. But I'm pretty sure that they'll get into the next OS update, which would be 5. No ETA on that. It's all on Frederick, and he's done so much for this one. He's probably taking a little break. But the way that's already kind of coming together and already in a test on GitHub, I would expect that to show through. And if they did it, that fall through, if you're missing spin to do the accent swing, I think that would come with it, because that's just logical.
Yes, please, whoever's listening, make that happen.
Yeah.
Because that was such a cool feature where if the spins were missing, spin.wave, it would exactly. That's perfect. I hope they do that in the update.
I would think that, especially if it was from the fork, I would think it would make its way. All right, let's see. Hopefully that restart fixed this, because
please, Saber gods.
Drum roll.
Please.
It's not popping up.
I think the restart told it where the file directory is. It needed a reminder.
Oh!
What is this?
I don't know what that is.
How can you live with yourself?
I don't know what that is. That is translocation.
All right, be right back. 30-second break time.
Okay.
I'm stumped on that.
I know it's something I did. That's like stupid. It's like, you can't see this on my screen, but it says updates available for some of your boards or libraries. Let me see what that means here.
Yeah, I don't know that.
Maybe this will fix it.
I don't know. That's a weird one, because it's not referencing anything in the OS. It's referencing folders, private, like it's none of the folders that I've seen in messages. Doesn't mean it's not, but even when I type that fork exec into the open source group where a lot of the questions get posted, nothing pops up on it.
Do you know what this is? This popped up on my Arduino program just now.
I mean, the Arduino does a lot of different boards. That's not the Proffieboard.
Yeah, because this is like, I don't see the Proffieboard listed here.
Yeah, no, there's been no change to the Proffieboard plugin for a little while, so yeah, there's some, oh wait, I think Brian's in our chat now. No Sloppy? He's the Mac guy. Maybe he can. I've never seen that error message, so I'm stumped on that one.
So I heard Windows forced an update. No Sloppy. I don't know.
I hope that's Brian.
Version of Arduino. I'll tell you.
You should be on the newest one, Space. But that's what I'm wondering, is if you go to Arduino's
It's
homepage.
1.8.9.
That should be fine.
I'm on 1.8.9, which I think we determined, like Fernando just said, is the newest one. My computer's been so weird lately. I honestly would not doubt if it's my problem.
I think it's a Mac OS update issue.
What's the path to Proffie OS folder? it should be just to the desktop. Is that an issue?
Yeah, we had for Brian or No Sloppy, we had him pull a new version down and extract it to the desktop, and it's still giving the same error.
Yeah.
And we've looked through all the settings and everything it looks to be, right. So, but I think it's something with Mac that unfortunately I'm stumped on that.
Mac.
I'm gonna try moving the mark config that I had to over here and just see if I could see that.
What is 1.8? They're already up to 1.8.11. I don't know. Maybe we could try a new version of Arduino.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I'm going there right now. I'm looking at it says Mac
Okay.
OS.
That's what he's.
I'll grab it. I'll grab it if they got a new version. Let me.
Yeah, I don't have my computer with Arduino open. I thought I was on 8.9 or 8.10, but maybe I updated that too. Yeah, for Mac, I'm going to default to Brian because he does a lot of the troubleshooting for open source already for that.
I knew there'd be some geniuses in the chat that would tell us the problem.
But of course, there's the download page. Come on.
Oh, 1.8.13 they have right now, and this is it looks like it will work well with the Mac, is what it's saying here.
They probably had to do an update for the new OS.
Because I'm telling you, this new OS has caused me so many problems. I think it was last weekend, and it cost me the entire weekend. Like it was like an entire weekend of like staying up till 4 in the morning just trying to get through like updates and trying to make everything work the way it was supposed to work. Okay.
So are you on 10.10? Is that what you're on, Space?
It was a 1.8.9. I'm going to move up to 1. What was it?
It's 1.8.13 is the newest Arduino. What I was curious is, are you on Mac OS X 10.10?
Yeah, I'll tell you that. I think I'm on the newest Mac. Let's see.
Oh, it says 10.10 or later. I was just curious if you're on 10.10.
So I'm on a 10.15.5.
Well, let's do it. Let's download that newest Arduino and see if they've had bug fixes for the newest OS X.
Oh, this is going to be great.
Well, it's turning into a Mac troubleshooting.
Exactly.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we will.
I mean, you deal with computers, I guess. I know I drive my IT department crazy because when something doesn't work, I go nuts.
Or we're sending all the Sith to Apple.
Yeah.
Well, Apple's been doing me dirty for like years now. I don't know why I submit to this torture, honestly. I just recently talked to my dad about in like a PC style computer. He got me a used laptop and he sent it to me. He says it's a good one and stuff. I might start using that. 'Cause this is like,
Yeah, it is nice to have both.
why does it say June 16th, 2020? I guess that was when it was released. Okay, maybe the Saber gods have infused this version of Arduino with their blessings.
I hope so. I want you to see this stuff.
Yeah, right.
Well, I'm gonna see it anyway because JediArmsDealer, weren't you just doing it on your side of it?
Oh, yeah.
I'll make your screen full size and we'll just watch you go through the whole thing. And
while you were on break, Space, Fernando was breaking down the pull downs for me, and there's stuff in here I didn't even know existed. We're
gonna have a 12-hour live stream tomorrow.
Oh my god!
And it's not an over exaggeration. That's literally the tip of the iceberg for like. Yeah. There's gonna be, the more people play with it and the more people just come up with ideas. There's just so much.
And I still want to learn how to use the raw editor from you because I don't understand how to chain and put things in the middle and all that yet.
I'm doing I have the crash course videos, and I'm kind of, I mean, they're long videos just inherently, and I also seem to ramble. It just comes with the territory. But I'm trying to build those crash course videos to kind of walk everybody up, so that more people kind of learn it. So hopefully it's helping people. But there's a bunch of them on my channel. If you haven't started watching them, I would definitely check them out, because the idea behind it is to start with the basics and build up to complexity. And I'm on number 5. I've got to try to make number 6. Some of it's time getting away from me. But the goal is eventually to have covered as much as I can, and then let the open source group go crazy with this stuff.
Yeah, because I'm one of those people that wants to do that. It's like come up with my own blades eventually. And I've watched some of your videos, but you know.
Well, that's it. And I mean, I'm happy when people tell me they love the library stuff, but it's supposed to be like the breadcrumbs in the forest for everybody to follow. It's not the end all be all by any means. Part of the fun is coming up with your own ideas and bringing them to life. So.
Oh, it's badass. So I found the emitter cool off.
No Sloppy is I'm upgrading him if he wasn't already. He's now a Saber demigod. He has come up with the issue, and we have successfully verified. Cole Weathers, thank you for that advice as well, because that was one of my issues too.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay. Bam. So No Sloppy uses 0.12, but 11 works best for him. Kepada is using 1.8.13 on Windows. Yeah, there was a few options there. If you go to the Arduino site, and for the download of these different versions, you could download the Mac version, you could download the Windows version. There's a few different versions there. And I guess there's different ones for different people. Never should have left Mojave. I know. I mean, I didn't want to. I got forced to because of something. I forget what it was. I had such a weekend battling this whole situation. I forgot where it started, but it was an entire like Friday, Saturday, Sunday that I battled something, and I eventually found out that, oh, I have to upgrade, and I upgraded, and that was a whole nightmare of like a 5-hour. The computer wanted to. Now, granted, I'm using a computer from 2013, but I bumped it up with like 32 gigabytes of RAM. I got some things I put in there, but it's like I don't know. I guess it's time for an upgrade, isn't it? It's time for a new computer or something. Time for a different computer, because like these old computers, you know, they
well, it's just Mac making you update for everything, you know, all the time.
They want money. They want a subscription of some sort. Never should have left El Capitan. Ubuntu works well.
So I found the emitter cool off. I'm gonna go ahead and. How far are you away, Space, from firing up another blade?
Like I probably have to like rebuild or at least port over the Mark folder. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Well, just grab if you grab that config from that folder and bring it to the config folder for why am I losing my train of thought? The config folder for this new OS, then you'll just change that define line and you'll be fine. You don't have to remake it. You can take that copy over. Yeah.
Okay, beauty. Let me copy it right now.
Beauty, eh?
And just in case, when you make this Saber, put a copy of that config on the SD file, because that's a lot of times if it's missing, it makes it harder if somebody wants to ever do it. Like if the owner wants to do an update in the future, if they have that config file just on the SD and they pull it, they can drop it on their computer and start where you left off really easy.
I see. Okay, so if I just it's just like something the board isn't going to recognize to try to play a sound or anything. It's just going to be there.
Yeah, and I was saying this, I think, when you had restarted. It's essentially your config file is. I've used this analogy a few times. It's just the recipe for the Saber. That's all it is. That recipe is you give that recipe to Arduino, and it takes Proffi OS. It takes the recipe and it spits out your Saber specific to what you want. So by including that config.h, you're leaving that recipe for whoever comes in. They can have their own copy of the OS, their own copy of Arduino on their own machine, and they're literally picking up where you left off, and they can make the changes from that point forward.
It's like, how does the Proffie so smart? I was telling JAD the other day. It's like I just wire it up how I wire it up for NeoPixel, and like it automatically operates NeoPixel when I turned it on. How is that? How's that possible?
I mean, that's all thanks to Frederick. It's all built into the OS. I mean, he's the maker. He's obviously brilliant, and but it's all built in there. So that the actual like how it talks to the NeoPixels is in the bottom of your config. You don't usually change it, but it's telling it what type of strip is there and how to talk to it. So that's why, as long as it's hooked up correctly, the OS just is sending the data.
Okay, so I have this. I'm going to open in text edit because, you know, I do have to put that style back into it. I think that we configured earlier, but I'll be quick about it, I promise. Okay, let's see here. Text edit. I'll be quick about it because I had a restart and I had to have to go back to my bookmark.
Yeah, I think you were using the heat up, the Metal Forge heat up. You change it to the ignition, and then you can grab the cooldown, and then you can just spit it out of the library. Yeah,
and how it turns out is that Mark is here. He actually commented earlier. He goes, you know what? I don't think I like that.
Oh.
I don't think I like that. But you know what? I want to see it anyway. I want to see it anyway. So we don't have to package it up.
You can remove it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on the open source group when I had posted about this, and he wrote, and I was just asking if he had anything he wanted, and he didn't. And just for anybody out there, like this is your saber. Pick what you want and be happy with it. If there's stuff you don't like, that you don't have to live with it. Like, especially if I'm sure space is going to make it exactly like you want. It's, you know, there's nothing that's forced on anyone. And everybody's got different tastes, because there's some styles that I've made that I used to like, and now when I watch them, I'm like, ugh, but other people love them. So I'm like, hey, that's.
Well, you know what though? There's actually some things I do force on people. Like when I buy Christmas presents for people, I buy them things that I like. So like I bought my sister the Star Wars trilogy, and it's like the videotapes from like 20 years ago. They're still in the plastic at her house. She wouldn't open it. Like she wouldn't like watch it. But yeah, I just buy people things that I like. So unfortunately,
yeah,
they get, you know, Lord of the Rings and DVDs and Star Wars videotapes and stuff like that. So.
Sounds like, yeah, I see Brian saying the Sublime Text. Yeah, I use Notepad and WordPad, and I'm a creature of habit, so I don't like changing what I'm doing. I'm sure there's better ways, but it works for me. So yeah, so you had that, and then you also had a swing effect. But yeah, retraction, you can choose the Metal Forge cooldown.
Did you say leave the power-up effect as none earlier, or did we have?
When I thought it through, the power-up effect is great with a preon. It's not good with an ignition like that, because it's going to cover it. But you could do the retraction effect, change the standard retraction to the Metal Forge cooldown if you wanted to see that.
Absolutely. Oh, and then we had the swing effect as a little bit bright.
Why don't you grab the white, since you're doing this since you're going to change it because he doesn't want the heat up, but grab the swing effect, grab one of the white versions, and then you could do either the full bleed or whatever, because I think on the photon blade, the white will look even better than the bright. So the bright keeps the color and just makes it a little brighter. The white obviously is going to be a lot more noticeable.
Can't find the swing effects anymore. Where should I look?
Right below Clash, responsive swing.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you say make it white swing, or?
Yeah, try a white swing. I just think with the photon blade in particular, that might look really good. And then
I think that's going to look crazy.
The blade, or if you wanted to try that cutting edge one we were talking about earlier.
Okay, we'll see what happens. Oh, this is crazy. Okay, yeah, that was how we had it. I'll do look in the beta editor. And I know what that's going to look like. I'll just grab this style.
I'm over here still playing around with all the pull downs. My God, man.
Oh, yeah. Brian said, yeah, I haven't shown my face on videos. It's more just because I want the blade to be the star. So yes, this is, I think, the first time I've had my face on the video.
I was starting to think for a second you had like transformed into the Force or something with the sunset coming through your blinds. I was like, "Where's Fernando, man?"
I'm super old, but for a while I was actually attributing it to like Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget. So
that was cool.
that was my show back in the day. That was my show. But yeah, I just always saw it as he's concerned with the lightsaber. He's concerned with the lightsaber. You know, that's the focus of the video. So that's why.
Yeah, it kind of built on itself. Originally, it was just because I just only, and I've gotten a little better. I have a kind of cheap camera doing the videos too. So some people once in a while on the channel like, hey, the sound isn't great, or the you know, the video watches. I'm like, yeah, sorry. I was like, it's a $30 camera.
They're fine, Fernando. I do the same thing on my YouTube videos. I point the camera, you know, down at my table, and so that, you know, I'm wanting to zoom in on all the little intricacies and stuff. So it's all about the lightsaber.
Yeah, I'm just going to try to share this with everybody so they can follow along. Again, if you're joining us, we're going through making some changes to blade styles on my friend Mark's Proffie here. And he's got a photonic tri-star, so we're thinking it might look pretty wild if I do it right.
I think that white swing is going to be like really bright, really crazy.
I've never heard this like blind cowboy font yet, so I don't know what it's going to sound like. But I'll put this in there like we did before, and save. And like, you know, even though like PHET263 made this easy for me, made this easy for us by providing these generators, but I feel like I'm doing the work. I feel like I'm programming.
Hey, you are.
That's because there's so much.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's and
Thank you.
Once, the editors once you get into the editor too, like start tweaking this stuff. Again, the library should kind of be a start point. It's definitely not the finish. I try to make everything so that those who don't want to touch anything can just copy and paste, but you go in and you can make it your own pretty easily.
Now, just to make sure I'm doing this right, this is probably extremely small. I just want to verify, since I am going to type in, I know JediArmsDealer.
Yeah, so you're going to change the name of the define there to like, I can't read it.
Yeah, like does it start after the underscore after like, so it says like config / default underscore Proffieboard.
No, so config / that's just the directory. That's the config directory.
Like
so
the folder I'm in.
/ yeah, that's the folder. So then everything. So you'd wipe out default Proffieboard config and put in the name of it. And I can't read that, but
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oops. Oh shit.
Oh, not that. Yeah, not style. Yeah, not style.
Okay, that was a mistake. Okay.
But yeah, that's just all, and we talked about this too while you're logged out. All that is you're just telling Arduino to grab that config and use those commands to build up the OS. Yeah, I can't see the spelling of the original, but I'm sure you got it.
Okay.
All right. Be right back.
Let me share this thing again so you could see. Okay, moment of truth here. I got the config mark config underscore h. I think that's how it's supposed to be. I will hit this.
.h. It's a .h file. Yep. Yeah, there you go. .h. Yep. There you go. You're good. Yeah, all those other ones that they have the 2 slashes, those are commented out. Those are also kind of a good guide, so you make sure you have your
right.
Yeah,
like right underneath it. We learned about that last time. JediArmsDealer was telling me that anything with that was like with those 2 slashes, it wasn't gonna recognize.
Yeah. Yeah, it's commented out, so basically the Arduino just skips over it. So that's like for the programmers to leave notes to each other. Essentially, that's how they do it.
Very cool. I'm going to, it looks like we're good to go. I'm going to plug in here, and then I'm going to check that it sees this.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
what I
Just
learned last time.
Yeah, you just, as long as your port's selected, that seems to be, every once in a while that gets missed.
And I think I'm supposed to leave the kill key in on this, well, on this part.
It doesn't, I usually do, but it doesn't, it shouldn't make a difference. I usually don't have my sabers powered, but it shouldn't interfere with it because it's going into bootloader mode, which then just turns the processor off so that it can take the commands in. So you can't, I usually do, but I don't think it's a requirement.
JD, I just hit the button.
Uh-uh.
We passed the first 3 seconds, which we found out last time was super important.
I was just talking to Fernando about that. We joke about the first 3-second rule.
Yeah, I mean,
we can survive that. Oh no, what happened here?
Good.
Oh no, that's good. That's good. I saw orange and I was like, please no.
Yeah, especially like because I know there's viewers that when you first do it, like even myself, when you're first doing it and you see all these things come up flash on your screen, it's really easy to get like, oh my god. A lot of times it's because
this is like putting like pressing the button in Atlantic City on the slot machine to like bet all the dollars, and then you pull the crank and you just wait and try to hope that some like cherries line up or something.
Yeah, once you've done it, I mean, you already know what you're doing, but except for that little OS issue, that was more of a hiccup. Once you've done this a couple of times, you're going to be able to do it, no issue. And then once you get that style editor down, I'm sure, especially being such a big fan, I'm sure you're going to come up with even more crazy ideas. So, well,
I don't know. These those little problems that I had like with the OS, they really trigger me, and I'll start sweating. I was even crying in the background a little bit, but you guys didn't hear that part.
just step away and then start over.
Okay, so I think it was a success. File downloaded successfully. I can just unplug and check this out, right? I don't need to do anything else.
Nope, you're done.
Reveal time. Make that screen big.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And just make sure it's the right preset, because I think you set it as one of the later ones. It wasn't your first.
Right. So I think I opened up to the first font, which is like a Graflex font. Let's bump up to Blind Cowboy, which I think was like the 4th one.
I'm about to let everyone in on the secret.
Oh, okay. I think I just passed it. Sorry.
Dead Solo. Second sister. Vengeance, vengeance, vengeance. The Force is with you, young Skywalker. Stop more. The Force will be with you.
This must be it. Okay, here we go. Oh, Lord.
What the?
That's the heat up effect, yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, and then it settled into
green.
this incredible green. Holy, wait, we got to see that again. It'll also go off that way, right?
Yeah, you chose the cooldown, so it'll go backwards.
Oh, man.
And that was the deep sky blue you chose, so that looks really good on the photon.
Yeah, because I think that must be like optimal to produce this nice like photon green, because I know it's supposed to be like blue to be, like a cyan blue makes the best photon.
Yeah.
Let me make sure his blade is tightened here so it doesn't go across the room.
Yeah, you don't want that. So
oh wait, I'm seeing that. Even going slow, I can see that.
Oh wow!
Deal.
It looks white when you're swinging it, Space, even though it's a photon. Whoa.
And now, yeah, when you do that, you can. So we already showed the responsive lockup, but so you can see it in person. You can do that as well, because that style will have it.
So if I hit the button and then
So you hold your aux button and clash it, you should get the lockup. Sometimes the blade, it depends on where your board is. If you clash the blade, usually that'll give you enough. It depends your clash sensitivity too, but are you holding the aux button down the whole time?
yeah.
Huh.
Right.
I didn't see what your sensitivity was at, but it should trigger pretty easily.
Yeah, we did it last time pretty easily. It's just I got like the to gain access to the board, I have the insides open and like I need 3 hands.
Oh, I got you.
Huh.
Yeah, it might be tough without the hilt being closed up. Maybe that's part of it because you might not be getting enough movement in the.
Uh-oh. I hear a noise.
Might be
Yeah,
time
maybe
for a
you're
reboot.
Was that the same font? Oh yeah, that's the same font.
Yeah, you might want to close the hilt up before you start smacking on the board, maybe.
Yeah, I might have like hit something against something else.
Yeah, but yeah, so we'll skip over that. We don't want to. You don't want to have to go back. Let's not break it.
Oh wow, this is so nice. Oh, this is crazy. Crazy blade style. All right, well, let's see one. It's still going. Look, it went from yellow to green. Pretty nutty. Pretty nutty. Like, you know what we'll do? I liked one of those ones that like shoots up and sparkles on, like you had, David. That was crazy.
Oh,
the Cyclone, I think you were using.
yeah, Cyclone. That's it. Yeah, I'm actually right now, Fernando, trying to compile. Where was it? I'm verifying it right now. I'm wanting to do the one we talked about. That's the Tetris mode.
Oh, assemble.
I for some reason I'm getting errors on this. I've stripped it down to basics except for just maybe I need to refresh the page.
What blade did you check?
Yeah, it's the from the top. I've got no pre-on effects. So ignition options, I just said assemble, and then power up effect none, and retraction options disassemble, retraction cooldown effect none.
All right.
And then post off effects, I put emitter cool off because I wanted to see that.
Yeah, let me take a peek. It is possible that there's a bug in the library. It does happen. Let me peek real quick.
Yeah, I remember even from the older system, sometimes just things would conflict that you just didn't know and you have to try something else.
Yeah, let me check it real quick.
Let me strip everything down to none except for the assemble and disassemble because that's what I really want to see. And then I did animated lockup, so, you know, I loaded it up quite a bit.
Kyberphonic made the Blind Cowboy font. It's his Kanan Jarrus font. Yeah, I was on your website, Kyberphonic, and we selected the fonts for Mark that he wanted. And Mark says he actually has 6 total. Yeah, so there's like 10 fonts on here. I guess 6 of them we got from Kyberphonic, from Jesse. Yeah. That's awesome. I'm excited to hear them because like the way that the hilt sounds right now, it'll actually sound a lot better when the second speaker's off of the bottom right now, which is going to be like the main speaker, the bigger. I think it's like a 3 watt or something like that, 3 or 4 watt. Oh. Jag Nutcracker, Fernando got stripes and sparkle layer over my pulsing crystal chamber. Wow, wow. Yeah, like oh my God. The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, I'm peeking at the combos. There might be something that conflicts with everything. So yeah, maybe I'll have to peek at it deeper for
Yeah, no worries. I'm just stripping it down so it's just literally.
Yeah.
Maybe I should refresh because now you know, I don't know if I'm back to default. But let me just try this. I got it stripped down to none on everything except ignition and retraction. So let's see, get style. Yeah.
JediArmsDealer, if you like, if either of you guys want to share your screen as well, there's an option down there, and it'll pop up for me to share your screen. So anything you want to show people, you let me know. You just hit that button to share, and you select what screen on your desktop you want to see, or you want everyone to see, and then I'll share it for you.
I think Fernando can do that because he's on his computer, whereas I've got the iPad on my right and the Mac on my left.
Oh, okay.
I'm double screening it today. So yeah, I wouldn't be able to share my Mac.
If you get an error on your Mac, if you can read the first few lines, that might help too.
Okay.
I just ran a quick check with a basic one, and I don't see anything, but it doesn't mean there's not a bug in there. So
we're compiling again, so I'll let you know what it says at the bottom. But I think I'm just going to refresh and then pull down those two ignition and retraction styles, and because I really want to see that effect. I'm a Tetris fan.
That was after my first Proffieboard lesson.
What is that from, Space? Weird Science or something?
It's a movie called Zapped from like 1985.
So you pulled that up the other day. I'm like, where the hell has he been?
This whole lockdown thing, or just like watching all these weird movies on Netflix and Amazon.
Yeah. All right, Fernando, I got it.
Okay. All right, I'll have to. If you remember what the combo was last time, it's possible one of the other combos is.
Yeah. There's no way, man. You got way too many pull downs. I can never tell you. I can take a screenshot or something.
I'll peek. I'll take a peek and see if anything jumps out. So sometimes it's just like even me. There's a comma in the wrong spot. So it's.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, if you're still in here, let me know if you want cycle up ignition, which is Tron style. Like we showed it last time on a video, I think, or I forgot how we showed it. JediArmsDealer might remember, but we showed it somehow or it was on the style editor.
Yeah.
That
the older style editor.
It pops up in a weird, like inconsistent way. I'm not sure that's what Mark is going for on this, because like the only Star Wars movie I kind of see that working for is is Empire Strikes Back, because I feel like there was so many times when Luke turned off the saber and then turned it back on, like out of camera view, that my brain, like especially when he's in the carbon chamber, or when he's in the I guess it's like the carbon chamber at the end, and there's a couple moments where he turns off the lightsaber, you just hear the sound. My brain has always turned that into kind of that Tron effect of it going off like 80s style, like all out of whack. But if not, there's tons of things to choose from here. Spark tip extensions, one of my favorite. That's my favorite thing.
How many out of universe fonts you got on Mark Saber?
I don't think any. Yeah. I thought that Blind Cowboy was out of universe, but then Kyberphonic says no, that's his Kanan Jarrus font from Rebels. So I was like,
right.
Okay. The rest of them are all like, Emperor, Maul, Graflex, different Star Wars versions. Unless someone tell me if I'm wrong, that like the Peace and Vengeance one, I'm thinking those are also Star Wars.
Yeah, I haven't heard those.
All right, we got a successful upload. Booyah. How you looking, Space?
I'm still choosing something. So if you end up uploading and you want your screen turned big for the reveal, let me know. I'm going to choose something here.
Let's see what.
Still not sure. Oh, dual mode extension for a double-bladed lightsaber, or it works?
We were explaining that earlier. It has two different. Dual mode extension has two speeds. So if the blade's facing up, it's one speed. If it's facing down, it's a second speed.
Oh, that's cool.
Sorry. Trying to get the font 4.
Yeah, so Assemble is going to slide the pieces of the blade down.
Let's see if twist is still working okay. What the?
That looks like fire.
Okay, let's see if we can get the whole thing in here.
Wow. Was that Tron or was that flame going out?
That's
that was the
disassemble.
yes.
Yeah. So
Here we
assemble and disassemble. It's basically pieces of the blade coming together and then breaking back apart.
I don't
I
know if my
love it.
refresh rate's doing it justice, but it's insane in person.
It's like Japanese anime.
What the?
That's cool. Yeah, like a Voltron sword or something.
Right. And then
That's cool, man. Wow.
Jeez.
Who needs fireworks for the 4th of July when you got the Proffieboard?
Yeah, I hope we get to that.
I have a fireworks one too. I put together for the I did a Roman
That's
candle.
nuts. I did see your video on that, Fernando. That was hilarious. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Fett, do you do any I think JediArmsDealer said that you did. Do you do any of those fonts that or any of those blade styles that he was telling me last time you wave the saber? Is that what the fireworks one does, where like you wave the saber and it either says something or it looks like something in the trails? I'm not
the Star Wars
totally
logo.
sure I have my brain wrapped around that, but
I haven't
the
done
POV.
those. So, yeah, the persistence of vision. There's one default on Proffiie. The problem that's a ton of memory, so I don't run it because I have so many other styles. But yeah, and then you can actually program. So the default one says, I think it's just the Star Wars logo as you swing it.
Yeah.
That one Frederick created. It's default it's in all the default configs. And it looks awesome. I've seen people do it. I took it off early on and I've never used it just because I have a lot of other stuff. But there's also, he made it so you can not only just do the Star Wars logo, you can actually put your own message or whatever, and it works fine. It does take up a ton of the memory of the board though, because it's a very complex thing to be able to do that.
I'm glad you told me that. So that's a code space saver big time, huh?
Yeah, if you have a dozen or so presets and that's one of them and you want more, taking that one off opens up probably 6% to 8% memory just by getting rid of that one.
Because I did notice on my upload it said I was using 96% of my.
Yeah, and those older styles are part of that culprit. The ones that from my old generator, unfortunately. So if he only wants it 10 or so, and those are what you want.
I'm going to change them all. Yeah, I'm going to update them all.
Yeah, unfortunately, particularly that version of the lockup where it was that pulsing gradient with so many repeats, that's just it's using up memory that it doesn't need to.
Space isn't going to sleep for 3 days straight.
This is it's going to. I think I'm going to be busy till Christmas playing with this. No Sloppy says, "Have fun, boys. Got to catch this plane. Looking forward
thanks, Brian, for the help. The troubleshooting.
Yeah, thank you so much for the help. If you do want to see this on the replay, I think you could just go to the live section of my channel. Once it's over, it just immediately pops up there as a live video. Cheetos Born says, "Zapped." Yeah, that's some movie starring Scott Baio from 1985.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, and it actually was funny about it is it's the same co-star as the TV show. So it's like they played different characters, but then they got together and did the Charles in Charge TV show, and the other guy played the best friend. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Mark says, yeah, we could try maybe that either, what did you call it? Dissipate? Like that one that
JediArmsDealer?
Disassemble.
Yeah.
Disassemble. Maybe we'll try that on font 9 or 10. Violence is 9 and Vengeance is 10. Okay, yeah. I think I named, I think it is Violence, but the folder is called Peace because it was both of them that was in the folder, and I chose one side of the font. Yeah, Peace and Violence is just a light and dark side combo, not tied to any characters. So it's still Star Wars. Tim McAndrew, what's going on, buddy? Thanks for being here. Appreciate everybody watching this. I think things just got a whole lot easier because of actually I'm going to pull that up on screen because of the generator that I'm using now is updated. Fett told us early on in this broadcast that this style, or that this his style library became updated, and we've been playing with this the whole time. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
It is crazy. So instead of Heat Forge, which is something we did just look at, but Mark doesn't really want that on his saber, I'm going to go with.
Yeah, you want the Assemble is the one that Jedi Arms was just running. It should be
Assemble. Is that what you just said? Assemble?
Yeah, Assemble. That's the ignition is Assemble, so it builds the blade, and then
disassemble.
retraction is Disassemble. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
But you can mix and match those too. These don't always have to be paired, but they look good together. But sometimes you can pair it with other stuff.
On a side note, from Fernando, I figured it out. Under ignition options, assemble. Yeah. Under retraction options, disassemble. Everything else is set to none and default. But the second I add emitter cool off, that's when I was getting a different error.
Cool off.
Yeah.
Right.
So like kind of like those three together.
All right. Yeah, it might be they don't play nice together. I'll take a look.
I'm going to try for the ignition effect assemble, and for the power up effect power up unstable 1 white. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might look crazy.
I got to try the glitch on.
Wait. You know what though? I wonder if that's going to override it too. Those power up effects take over the blade. Maybe do none for assemble. Yeah, power up and cooldown. What they do is it actually covers the blade with the effect.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't. I mean, we could test it. It might work, but it also white might overtake the whole effect. So,
I guess we could try it. It might actually be cool if it blasted white on ignition anyway. If not, we can change it. But because the idea came from like. I was kind of thinking that with that assemble thing, like let's say the blade was going to end up being green, and then on the assemble ignition, if those pieces came to life as white, which I think might happen with this, and then it once it assembled, it would be green. That was kind of the hope for that. We could try it.
Yeah, unfortunately that one I built a while ago. I forget how it's running, so I'm peeking at the code to see which one's going to take precedent.
I love your analogy about the Matrix. You're like staring at the code, and you can like see the blade.
You can go in.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that one is okay. So it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna show the white. I actually think the way that one's built is it's covering everything else. So you can have it in there. I think I don't think you'll see the white if I'm reading this right. It's not going to hurt anything. I just think that the assemble part is it's those moving pieces cover everything. So the white is under it, but because of the way the layers work, you won't see it on it. I think just quick breakdown. So, but try it.
Bert asks, are these fonts only for Proffieboards, or can they be used with CFX? Well, Bert, when I bought them for Mark, I think both off the Kyberphonic website and off Saber font for some of them, they had both in the folder. So it's like I could choose between the CFX. It just kind of, I think you're buying the Smooth Swing version of it, and then in the folder of Smooth Swing, you would choose CFX, or like you're buying them both, and then when you get them home, you're basically choosing whichever folder, whichever board you are using, and kind of discarding the other files if you're not using it for that, or
I kind of feel like that's the way it should have always been, is that you get fonts for both Plector and back in the day Nygon. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just being cheap, right?
Well, no, because I think you probably pay a little more now. Like for instance, maybe it's $9 or $10 now, and it used to be like $4 or $5. But you are getting like multiple things. Oh my God! No way! It didn't just do that. Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
That's different than I imagined. So this is like different than that Tron style thing.
Yeah,
Tron is like more random.
Yeah. The Cycle Up Tron one is different parts of the blade all combining. This one's it was a specific animation that I had thought up where it's the pieces of the blade kind of forming from out in the ether.
That's sick.
That's pretty wild. I like it. See
Yeah,
it again. Turn off.
I want to see that on Mark's saber, even though you may not keep it, or I don't know. I got to see that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's. I copied it. I will go into his config. Let's say for like number 9 here. Whoa, that's a lot of code.
Yeah, the assemble and disassemble are a little long. It'll work fine, but those are each step is its own piece of code to do this step.
How many dinners did you miss because of this?
No, yeah, it's a lot of times it's I use it as downtime, so I just throw this stuff together.
You might have to forget what I said earlier, Fernando, because you know what? I've maxed out my upload memory. That might have been the problem. Maybe it had nothing to do with the blade styles.
If it says flash, yeah, then you used up too much memory. If you have that POV in there, pull that out. The older, and that's what 4.7, if you have the POV will help. And then also, if you have a lot of the older styles, particularly from my generator, unfortunately, they're taking up memory unnecessarily. So if you slowly change those to the new layers format, you'll save a little bit more space.
Right. Let me go to the bottom. No, I pulled the POV.
That's a big one.
That
one helps a lot usually, yeah.
Okay, let's try this again then. That's definitely what was going on. Let's see. This is way too much fun.
Oh yeah, it's definitely can take up a lot of time.
Yeah, 'cause it's one thing to see your videos, but then to upload it to your own saber and like
I always kind of saw his videos and I was like, that's awesome. I don't know if I'll be able to do that. And then we got to the point where we are today, where we're actually doing it. So I definitely
everything in my video I put in the library. Actually, the video is just for the library usually because I like to show it so that people understand what they're getting. So the videos are just for the library. But yeah, the idea is if I could do it and the code is there, you just copy paste and go off and run.
Cassian Rain says, I'm still such a noob to all of this. I think I'll stick with just copy and paste for now, but all this was definitely very informative. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, the way like my brain works is like I have to, and Jedi Master Maltese knows this, is that I need to do things like 100 times before I get it. So like I rewatch the videos over and over. Like I'll probably take that series that you did, Fet, on your channel, where you have, I think it's up to like, it's like 1 through 5 of how to use
the crash courses. Yeah.
And I'll just the crash courses, and I'll just watch them over and over. Cause like starting with the basics, like when I was wiring a recharge port, I watched the video on how to wire a recharge port over and over and over again until now I don't have to watch the video and I can just do it. But that's how my brain is. I need to like not only see it happen, but kind of do it as well. And then I remember by doing.
Yeah, hands-on, same thing. Hands-on is usually easier to learn it, yeah.
That's funny, Space, because I still pull up the picture of the recharge port every time I wire one. Just because it's so easy to reverse the two, you know?
Well, you know what? I did one better for myself. I keep like right in eye level, hanging on the wall right there. I keep a dangling wired recharge port, so I could just like look, just to make sure. So I do cheat that way too, or confirm. I call it confirming.
That's genius, actually. The 3D visual.
I verified my new coding for that assemble disassemble situation for font number 9. I'm now. It says it's compiling. I think we're gonna have success. I'm pretty confident in all the stuff we did today that it's gonna work.
Go ahead. We've run into every Mac problem.
The only problem that like my Mac hasn't run into with me yet is like me just tipping it off this desk, because that's what's coming next.
Well, you should add to the description that you have Mac troubleshooting in this video. For all
for Arduino, right? Like, well, I should really know all this. Is that like I should know by now that when I run into that issue, it's some kind of update thing or something. Just always seems to be.
Oh, hey, Megtooth! I see Megtooth chime in. What's up, Tom?
Oh, Megtooth is here. What's going on, Tom? We were telling people earlier that to learn more about the Proffieboard, they can go to Megtooth Sits YouTube page. He's got some videos on how to use the Proffie as well. He's like the expert on it.
I've learned a lot from his videos.
If you guys are not subscribed to Megtooth Sith, you guys need to go over there. And if you love lightsabers, go and subscribe over there. He's always showing something new, and every single Monday night he has a show. And you guys got to check it out, because it might be the only lightsaber live show that happens on a weekly basis. And he's very consistent with that, and I think that's super important. So go watch Tom every single Monday night after work, or watch the replay. I think he must have the replays up on his channel.
You finished, you're good.
Nice. Cassian Rain says, my brain is like that as well. I have to see something multiple times. I'm actually in the middle of wiring my first neopixel build, watching one vid while listening to you guys. That's what I do too. I got multiple screens over here, and I will fry my brain till like 5 in the morning with like multiple videos going on too. Okay, we did it. I'm gonna unplug. Yeah, when I was spinning the saber the other day for you, JediArmsDealer, to like show you that one thing, was that I had tape around the bottom just like to hold, you know, because I still wanted to have access to all my plugs and stuff for the moment while we're still programming all this.
Right.
I am King Jairus, Jedi Knight. Count Dooku. Hello, the Jedi. Ben Solo.
Ben Solo, which one is that? That's not this one, right? Oh, so then one more.
Second sister.
And then one more. Okay, this should be it with that. Oh, let me make my screen bigger so you guys can see what's going on here. We can all see this together. This is assemble, disassemble by PHET263 for the Proffieboard. Oh, it's like it came down from the heavens.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh, and then it dissipates like kind of like a flare that you're holding or something.
It's like a backwards Roman candle.
Yeah. Oh, that's nutty, right?
Nice work, Fernando.
Thanks. Yeah.
Oh wait, let's check out. I gotta hold the bottom end, but check out the blade swingy thing. I made it the entire blade. So let's see. Hopefully, I don't knock anything over here.
That's wild.
Yeah,
it's
that gets
wild.
real bright.
It looks white through the photon even, Space.
I'm like seeing like yellow. Is the camera picking it up kind of white? I feel
there's
like
a yellow reflection, but the blade is white. But the reflection on your back wall is yellow.
That looks crazy.
I wish I had 3 hands. I seem to can't trigger the lockup, but
yeah, I think if the hilt was closed, it'd probably be easier.
Well, you know, I'll do a video when I'm going to upload, you know, a different style for like every or a slightly different style for every font here, and then I'll make a video reveal, which of course I thought was going to be like a month ago, but I'm just so behind. But you really just blasted me off to the stratosphere with this. Oh my God, look at this. And you know what I might do if like Mark kind of likes this one, or just on my personal one in the future, I will accelerate this a little bit to suit my own taste, right? Like the building
Yeah,
up.
you just adjust the timings. Yeah, you can adjust the timings and have it do whatever you want.
I think that would be even better for me if I ramped it up a little bit. I think that would be cool as hell. I love it. I think I'd like the Tron one even better.
I think I got a new one, Space. I wanted to check this one out.
Yeah.
Let's see what this one does. What the heck?
That's the heat up.
That was heat up again?
That was the heat up.
Oh, look at that!
Oh,
the way it went off towards the center.
That's what I
Yeah,
wanted
that's
to
the
see.
center in. Yeah, center in retraction.
Oh, it's so fast on the ignition. Maybe because it's just right in front of my face.
Oh, did it blast off from the middle? Because it's just a wash of color over your whole room,
dude.
Yeah, the first time it's so bright, but yeah, that's the center out, center in.
That's unreal. So the one thing we've got to do is I got to know how to do the audio spectrum analyzer mode, Fernando.
What's that?
Is where the blade jumps to the music, or
the VU meter? It's at the bottom of the library. Yeah.
Okay. I had to make sure I found out how to do that for me before anything else, because oh man, I'm so happy you guys put that in there.
Kyberphonic, thanks for joining us. You got to go eat
Later,
dinner, and he's saying good night. Good night to you. Thank you.
Night, Jesse. Thanks for all the incredible fonts, man.
Yeah, if you go to the library, it's under the. It should be towards the bottom. The VU meter is the name of it.
Okay.
That one's it's specifically for that. So that one doesn't do like blasts and stuff. It's specifically for that.
So it's kind of like the original Metal Forge. Then it's in like that is the effect.
Yeah,
right?
I mean it's essentially made to just do it's under training demo styles. Because it's in order to make it do that, I had to strip a lot of other stuff out of the way because they would interfere. So if you close this screen, or I'm sorry, I'm looking at Space's screen, not yours. It's if you scroll to the bottom of the library, it's under training and demo. It's the first one.
There's a whole nother. Okay, training and demo. Okay, here we go. VU meter style.
Yeah. This is crazy.
I know. I'm like scrolling for ages.
Because like this is the page where you don't really have to do anything as the user. Am I right, Fett? Like you made the YouTube video and then you took that information, you're just making it available. So you're saying, look at my YouTube video. This is what it looks like. If you want your saber to look like, copy paste that stuff, right?
Yeah, and then you just click. Yeah, if you click get style code in any of these, that's where it's going to go. So a lot of them have the customized enhanced screen because I wanted to be able to give everybody the options for the ignitions and all the other effects. But like I said, if you just hit get style code, that's enhancement screen comes up, and you just scroll to the bottom and hit get style, you're still getting a complete style. It's just the default. If you want to choose from all the drop downs, you can tweak it up as much as you want. But some of them, the VU meter is one, and a couple of the other ones, because they're made for a very specific purpose, they're not like, they wouldn't be like a full lightsaber effect. Part of it is because the effect didn't lend itself, and part of it is because the focus was one purpose.
I'm doing it. I got to see it.
And JediArmsDealer, which is the one that you're going for? I'm going for smoke. What are you going for?
I got to do the VU meter because I'm the DJ freak. Yeah.
He says all the way down at the bottom. Let me see this.
Yeah, it's like probably second or third from the bottom.
Remember, Space, we were talking about how it does kind of like the old school Crystal Focus does, where it jumps to the music. The blade actually like jumps like audio style, but Fernando set it up so that it goes. See, because I had a Spectrum EQ in my old hot rod back in the day, that was like a 7-band EQ that had 7 of those blades like jumping up and down. On my so
I know what you mean. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you were telling me that it's similar to like what the Crystal Focus LS would do with the music, right? Just like bumps up and down like an equalizer.
Yes.
And that's what this style is going to do? Okay.
Yeah, and it'll use any audio. So your track, your blast, your hum, everything. It reacts to every sound the Saber's playing. I
see. So it's the sounds coming from within the Saber, not to be, you know, stupid or anything, but it's not the sounds that's like in the room.
No, it's reading the SD value basically. So, so like this demo, like I think I played 2 tracks. I did like a Ray theme and a Kylo theme, and they obviously jumped the most. Whereas like your hum doesn't change a lot, but your ignition and retraction it changed a lot. So, and it goes from green to red. So, but only when it gets loud. So it's yeah. So when it gets to the full, it'll be red.
Yeah, it's like a audio editor on your computer, but this is like a live version.
Yeah. Of it. It's just playing with one of the effects to kind of just do something unique.
I hope I have a music track on this first font because that's what I'm testing it on. If
Death
not,
Star Blade for Second Sister font, of course. Let's see here. Mark wants the Death Star Blade. That's part of one of your library, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that'll be under, I think it's under Energy Blade, so that'll be mid. Yeah, it's a long list. But yeah, it should be.
I'll find it.
I love that font, Mark, by the way. That's Second Sister. I couldn't wait. I was hoping someone would do it. And it's amazing. It sounds just like the game.
Oh, well, that's good. Then I can try that next.
Should be, I think this is the energy section. No, that's dual phase. It'll be a little higher. That's the dual phase blades.
Fought a sneeze.
Bless you.
Bless.
Thank you.
This ended up being perfect timing, I guess, because you came through to help us. Like, you had created all this stuff already, and we get to just play with it. That's crazy.
Yeah, Death Star right there.
Here we go.
The green. Yep.
Get style code. I want it in this. Since I'm using the photon blade, I'm going to. Well, I mean, it's actually up to Mark. Maybe he'll tell me because it could be red, but I'm just saying for the best. For the best green that we saw earlier, I think you'll want to choose this sky blue. As you know, if you want red, we'll choose red. That'll come through as well. Or if you want gold, that'll come through as well. White will come through as gold. Let me make JediArmsDealer's screen bigger because I think he was playing with that already. That looks great.
Let's see what happens.
And then so you're gonna hit.
Oh, I see.
Whoa. Oh, okay.
So it is reacting.
Yeah, like you hit the ignition button, and for a second there was like a big sound, so it rose up, but then the hum is kind of low, so it remains low, and then when you hit blaster or something, we see a lot. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's basically the difference in the volume.
Hold on, let me get to.
Jedi, prepare for death.
He even does it on the boot up, and the wow. Let's see if I can get the music going.
Right, yeah, I'm gonna start to do functions soon for no sloppy in the crash course. That's what I'm kind of building up to. So yeah, there's a lot of functions, but that's the I'm working towards it. I think I gotta I don't know what I'm gonna get to, but number 6 will start covering more functions.
The functions were those things on the style editor that were like gray, that were like the gray stuff.
Yeah,
controlled things.
The functions work in a lot of places, but they have to be used for specific things. So that's part of, like, again, the crash courses are trying to build up a base so that you understand how they work together. The functions, essentially, they instead of, so like, without the videos, it's a little out of context, but instead of just being a number value, so say for like the position of something, you put just a solid number, it's going to stay in that position. The function, there's a bunch of them. Each function just becomes, instead of a static number, becomes a variable. So like the variables, then you can pick what kind of variable you want. Like even that VU meter, it's essentially using the length of the blade to change based on the, I forget the name of it. It's like the noisy sound function. So the saber is reading the difference in the sound. It's turning that into numerical data, which is then changing how big that blade gets. So that's a function that's changing something on the blade. And there's so many of them, and they all do so many different things. I'm probably going to have to do it over several videos to explain each one in enough detail. But that's essentially what the crash course is building towards, is how to use all these pieces. Because a lot of my blades, anything that says fully responsive, it's using a lot of data from the board to do the effects. So blade angle, twist angle, speed, which we see with the swing. And then there's other ones that are like the noisy sound function, the battery level. They're all functions. So like I just did a power save mode where when your battery level gets below a certain point, it actually automatically will dim your blade by 33% or 50% to give you a little bit longer life. It's just it's a style that looks at the battery level function, and when that value drops below a level, it just switches how bright the blade is. But because these functions exist now, you can take them and you can use them in so many places. It just opens up what the possibilities are.
I just saw him talking about that on open source today, Fernando, the battery saver kind of thing, where it dims the blade a little bit, so your speaker doesn't crackle so quickly once you start. That's genius.
Yeah, and you can tweak it too. Like I in playing with it, I think I did 25%, 33%, and 50%. And the 25% dim, to your eye, you almost can't tell the blade is dimmed. Like I did a partial blade where one part was dimmed and one wasn't. And that's the only way I could tell my blade was dimmed at 25%. The 50% is kind of noticeable. 33% is in the middle. But a 20, and I mean, somebody would have to calculate the values, but if you dim the blade 25%, you figure you're saving that much power. It just gives you that much, a little bit more runtime. But it didn't, to my eye, it didn't change how bright the blade was. But there is a difference if you look at it versus the full color.
Yeah, I remember doing that on a previous build where I was trying to just save a little bit of runtime, and I think I dropped the blade output to like 80%, and I was like, I cannot even tell the difference.
Yeah, it's really not a big difference. But, I haven't been able to test like the length of time. First of all, because it takes forever for the damn. When you want your battery to drain, it seems to take forever. When you want to just use the saber, the battery always seems to drain really fast.
Exactly.
So it's almost like yeah.
That's so true. So where are you at, Space?
I am verifying the Death Star blade.
Nice.
For the second sister font for Mark. Let me see here. Did I get something? Oh, error. What happened?
You were at 99%. We might have used up your memory because I think your last upload was 99%.
Oh.
So if your error message
I'll show you the
flash, about halfway through, we exceeded the memory space. That would be the one I would guess at.
It'll say something about flash or something at the bottom.
It's going to be to the right. Scroll to the right. It'll say something about flash memory overrun. I think that's most likely what happened. Yep.
Oh yeah.
So you're only over by like 1360. So it's a really tiny amount you're over.
So what I need to do is like I'll just take away the style stuff that I did for like font 1 because you had said that that would have to be updated. That was kind of old.
Yeah, that's a big one. That probably is taking up a ton of space. You don't have the POV on there, right? You're not running that style.
I think you do. I think it's still in there,
POV
Space.
again?
It's a second to the last.
Yeah, it's usually at the bottom of the config. It's default, so it's there. If you're not going to use it, that will save you a lot of space. It'll say style POV, I think is the name.
Yeah, I'm going to show you that screen, and you can tell me. I think I see where it is, but just to be sure.
And can't he even delete the battery level indicator since you've got all those new choices in there now for that?
If you don't want it, if you don't want it, scroll to the bottom, towards near the bottom of the config. Yeah, so that style So it's, what is it, 10 VNGCE? That one in particular, from the starting bracket to the end bracket for POV, that one takes up a lot of space. If you use it, leave it. But if you're not going to use it, that one is taking up a good amount of space.
You could always put it in after the fact.
What is that again? What would I be deleting? Like the I know you spoke of it before.
If you swing it, it uses persistence of vision to create the Star Wars logo.
Right. Okay. Since I can add it back in anytime I want, I will just get rid of it for now.
Yeah, that should save you a good amount of space. So.
And space is all about saving space.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see here. Verified. Can I be verified?
Look at us now. Love it.
Oh, I wasn't sharing the proper screen. I can show you guys live my successes and failures. Done. Okay, and I'll plug in.
So look at the difference though. You were overrun, so you were over 100%. You just removed that POV style, you're down to 86%. So that was 14% of space.
I'm so glad you told us that.
Yeah, I haven't had it forever. I didn't actually know how much space it was. I was thinking like 8%, 14%. That thing is huge. So it's a very cool style if you want it, but it is using up a lot of storage space.
Yeah. And like this style that I'm about to put in, I mean, Fett, you obviously know because you made it. I don't know if JediArmsDealer saw this yet, but I just saw this on the style editor preview screen, and it looks crazy. Like this Death Star thing, this looks crazy. So
I don't think I've seen that one.
It's like a weird pulse that goes up the blade, but it looks rad. I think you're gonna like it.
Yeah. So in the original New Hope, when it's like a quick shot, but when they do the green blast, it had a red accent, but when they do the green blast into Alderaan, there was these pulses that ran straight up it.
Yes.
Really quick. But that's what the blade is it's a main blade, and then there's these quick succession of big pulses that run up it.
Nice. Be careful what you point the blade at, Space.
Yeah.
Megtooth says, battery dying, got a jet, gonna go spend some time with his girlfriend.
Later,
have a great night. Have a great night, Tom.
Night, Tom. Thanks for hanging, man.
Oh, Mark says red for second sister. I just caught that, but it's going to be green for now. But we can, I'll go back, and this is just going to be wild with a weird pulse. Actually, I hope the camera's going to pick that up because it's going to be nutty. That's kind of another cool thing about the style editor or the style preview thing is that, if you just have YouTube videos, that's a little harder to discern, I guess, unless you did with like JediArmsDealer was talking before about like maybe reducing the intensity of the blade for the previews. But, the camera picks up things strangely. That's why the style editor is pretty important. I think you could see the animation of what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, typically what I found, and it's not perfect, but over time, depending on the style, I shoot it in different light, like how bright the room is. And some of them that have really crazy effects, I shoot them against the floor because the carpet fibers actually act as a reflector to show the movement. So like a lot of my unstable stuff, in person it looks great, but in certain camera with certain lighting, it doesn't look like a lot. But then I put it on the carpet in the same light, and you can see like all the variation. So I try to with my cheap $30 camera, shoot it as best I can to display what it is. But yeah, the editor is going to be a lot closer. And then when you see it, obviously is the best scenario.
Yeah. It's like a few years ago, somebody liked in one of my videos that I think it happened by accident, or maybe I did it on their request, but to show blades in front of like a TV screen, it does the same thing. It kind of shows like what... Yeah, like more like realistic look of like, look, this is kind of what it looks like in real life. If there's some imperfections, usually we'll be able to see it that way rather than like the overblast of whatever light hits the camera from it.
Yeah, I mean, neopixels are very bright, but I sometimes I get questions about, well, is this really how bright it is? And I'm like, well, the camera is oversaturating a little bit, but yes, it is very bright. Particularly if you like when I have my neopixel blades outside in my yard with no light, like the entire backyard is lit up, like they are so bright.
Your neighbors are like, "What the hell is he doing over
Yeah.
there?"
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, most of the people in the neighborhood know I do Darth Vader, so they see Darth Vader's
All
saber
right.
in the backyard. They don't think anything of it.
He's playing with his Star Wars toys again.
Yep.
When I go outside with my lightsabers, my neighbor's always hanging out there. She goes, "How old are you?" I'm like, "Don't you know this by now? I've been doing this in front of you for like 10 years. I'm not going to stop. Like, you think this is like I'm going to grow out of this or something? Like, this is the wrong impression I'm giving you. I'm not growing out of it."
Inside, I'm 12.
Yeah. That's like, I always tell people the same thing. It's like, I feel good. I feel like I'm 19, but mentally I'm like 12, you know?
Yeah.
Like I feel pretty good, but still I'm not really like an adult. Okay, here we go. I got this weird blade style.
Oh, nice.
and can you tell that it's pulsing, like Fett was saying, like it's constantly doing it.
Out. Yeah.
Like
it's washing out.
our laser.
Yeah.
It's constantly like, wait, can I?
Like in the movie where it's like blowing up taking a while to blow up the planet. Wow. Oh yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. You can see the reflection of it. Yeah.
Oh, I gotta load that one up.
Yeah, it's a from the base to the tip pulse, which makes a lot of sense for a lightsaber. I think it makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Oh wow, backwards.
Now, is that a carryover from the previous instructions I gave it, Fett, that it did like the disc symbol?
The enhancement screen actually holds what you chose in it, unless you hit the reset button. I did it on purpose because when I build my styles,
you want to build on it.
I want to keep a lot of the settings the same and just change certain pieces. So yeah, if you have it set for a certain ignition, retraction, or whatever, and then you just grab a different style, it's gonna have held that. You just would toggle them in the drop down.
So if we're in the same, say, page and we want to start from scratch, it's always best to refresh then.
Yeah, you can refresh the page or hit the reset on the enhancement screen.
Oh, okay, so, nice.
Yeah, one thing was nice that it kept like the bright deal. Like it kept that bright situation too. When you swing.
Yeah, it keeps all the settings. So, and then you would just change the ones you want.
A lot to play with. That's something else.
Yeah.
That is something else, man. Oh man, that's crazy. So wait, Mark's saying, is that the 3535 strip RGB or RGBW? So Mark, when I build the TriStar, I don't know, I think you're asking about your blade, unless I missed something in the chat. Your blade is 3535 RGB, 3 of them though. So it's that TriStar deal inside here. There's three strips in here. Bert says, exactly, on the 4th, my neighbors were like, what the F? They were shooting fireworks and I was playing Jedi. Gotta be who you are.
So I loaded up, I think, one of the newer ones, Inertia Spark and Fireball.
Uh-oh.
Oh, so those will stay at your hilt, and as you swing, the faster you swing, it'll move to the tip.
I think I saw your video on this, and I was like, yeah, I gotta load that one up next. Oh, huh. Oh, okay. Did I do something? Now it's
like a delay, or you must have selected black for your blade, right?
Let's see.
So that the blade is off.
Shut it down. Let me power it down.
Yeah, the sparks look good on black.
I gotta move it, right?
Oh.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, I'd have to see what you. No, that's not.
Yeah, I might have selected something wrong.
Yeah, you got everything but the blade.
And oh wow, it's a localized lockup with a black blade. That's sick.
You know what that's good for? Like as
What
like a torch in the darkness, like when you go out and check your shed in the middle of the night.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
that looks like
look.
Black blade. Yeah, check the blade you chose. I mean, they should work.
Customize and enhance. Let's see.
What was the blade you started on?
Wait, I'm back on the center out. Oh, wait. Hold on a second.
I'm gonna set up this thing for Mark.
Oh wait, no, that wouldn't work. I'm trying to think. VU meter wouldn't have done that. Yeah, it depends what blade you started on.
Oh, you know what? It didn't. It kept the center out style when I went into, and then I scrolled straight to the bottom and said get style. So I don't think I did enough of the pull downs is the problem. Yeah, I think that's what I did.
What's inertia spark under responsive swing effects? Inertia.
That's
spark.
what we were just. So that one is going to be, there's going to be a spark at your hilt, but as the faster you swing, that spark will move to the end of the
I
blade.
saw your video on that. I saw your video on that. That's kind of new, isn't it? That's kind of a new one.
I did that not too long ago. And there's a fireball version too. It's the same concept. It uses the speed of the swing to change how far up the blade that moves. That was the one that.
There's so much to play
it was just trying. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh man, this is nutty. I'm going to choose aerodynamic heating with a red blade. Don't ask. Don't ask. Okay.
So as far as the door melt goes, is there a particular, like I notice it looks like I'm seeing it on fully responsive color run Fireblade. Is that not it? Is that just the tip? Is there a particular one I need to get style code for to insert the door melt?
No, melt is there automatically.
All the time?
It's a default one. Certain effects.
4.7?
Yeah, in 4.7. Certain effects don't look as good. With the one button for Daryl, I don't know what he would have set for controls on that. That's the only part I'm not sure about.
I'd have to pull out my 2-button saber because I think that's the issue. Because when I for some reason when I tap, push forward and tap a wall, it's shutting down the saber, which might be part of it. It's messing with the twist. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean twist might get in the way of that because if he has a twist off, it might be taking that when you do that action as wanting to turn off. So that's possible.
Right.
I mean, you could you could do one button, but choose either Dimitri's or SA22C's one button prop file to just make sure that it works. But by default, any of the things from the library should pull in responsive melt.
Okay. Well, I'll try that on my. I'll go back and forth and let you know what I find. With all the one button mods, and let you know if the door melt works on that.
Yeah, I haven't actually played with the gesture stuff. I've seen everybody else do it. I haven't gotten to that, so I'm not. But that would make some sense if you're twisting to tell it to go off, and then you're trying to do the melt. It's probably taking it as you want to just turn off.
Yeah, I think that's what it's doing because every time I tap the wall, it just shuts down like normal, like it's a twist. So I'll try a different one button and let you know which one works for door melt for your research. Cool. All right. So my first font is actually like from Revenge of the Sith, the electric staff that Jesse did.
Oh yeah.
So I see you have an electric.
Yeah, that was a little crazy.
Dude, I love it, man.
Yeah, that was the that one's a little. I've had that one for a while. I think actually when I put that out, Jesse gave me the font because he's like, "Hey, I've got a perfect font for that." So.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that one next because I'm gonna do the purple. Heck yeah. So if so, like when I click on that, and I'm feeling lazy, and I just wanted to go straight to the purple effect of that. Like right now, it still says center out under ignition options. So what should I change that to?
You can do any. I would say change it to just standard extension.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Yep. And so then retraction options, I probably want to do standard retraction.
Yeah. I mean, you can use
right back
any.
1 minute.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, certain ignitions and retractions don't always work perfect with other effects. Some of it does vary.
Right.
So that's where the editor kind of helps out.
And so with that one, I can probably select cooldown stable white on retraction cooldown effect. And and then I want to try, because I never got to see it because I kept running out of space, was the emitter cool off. And let's do it in, I guess, white, since that's kind of electric. Now, what happens if you just select emitter cool off?
So I gotta actually look at that. That one's an old one. I gotta peek at that one.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it just imitates the
it should be, yeah.
The metal forge blade, but it's just in the emitter. Is that maybe?
It should be just the emitter. I gotta pull that one. Emitter cool off is that's one of my early ones. Yeah, that's gonna be only at the emitter. It'll go.
Try that.
It'll go from white to like an orange down to red, and then eventually off.
And then what's I'm just asking questions on all the pull downs for the animated lockup. Is that like from the Clone Wars?
No, so the animated lockup would be the version 3 of localized lockup. That's where the lockup section moves on its own. So that's the animation of it. Yeah, it's not animated series. I probably should change the name of it. The responsive
no,
lockup,
that makes sense. Go ahead.
Responsive lockup responds to your blade. So if you hold your blade perfectly still, it stays still. If you change the angle, it moves.
Okay. So low blade, mid blade, and 3/4 blade. I'm gonna go with a 3/4 blade this time.
Yeah, so those are the motion profiles. So like what I was finding, the original one always moved like from like 3/4 of the blade down, but it actually, not that I'm great with dueling, but playing with my son, I noticed and watching the films, a lot of times the lockup is down towards the base. So that's why I made different settings. So if you do the 3/4 blade, that lockup section moves a lot more versus the low blade, because the low blade's going to stay tight to the emitter. And then if you've got a longer saber, you could do the mid blade all they do is they just basically restrict the area that lockup section is going to move.
I love it, man. Now, do the responsive effects take up more memory than the standard?
They really don't.
Okay.
A lot of times what's taking up the biggest things right now they're taking up memory from my experience is actually a lot of the preon effects, because a lot of these preons have like a lot of individual animations that happen. So each one of those is a separate line. So some of the Infinity Gauntlet one that somebody talked about earlier, I think that's like 6 or 8 steps of animation. So that's a lot happening. So those take up more space. The responsive stuff actually doesn't really take up as much.
Okay. Cool. Great to know. White swing. Oh.
Mark is asking, okay, so the white will make the photon blade brighter than having them on, say, deep blue. Yeah, so like the photon blade's going to take a color that would be like white on the inside there, normally white, and kind of make it whitish yellow. And then if you were to, let's say, make the blade yellow, you would get an extremely bright yellow. If you were to make the blade green, that's just a really nice green, kind of like a Luke Skywalker from Return of the Jedi. Then if the blade on the inside is cyan color or like sky blue, we'll get the most powerful photonic effect, but the blade will appear green, but it'll actually look like having neon edges. So it'll be like a strange color green that's kind of like it's hard to explain if you haven't seen the photon in person, but it is that photonic color. If you've seen the way photon blade looks, it's that, but with a neon green edge to it. Then if you cycle through to a deep blue, I would say it would be a bit weaker of a photonic green. So you're not looking at, it's probably weaker than green LEDs through the green photon. And then if we move to the purple spectrum, we're not going to see purple. We're going to see some kind of like salmon color. And on the edge of the blade, it's going to be like a watermelon green. And then if we move into the red spectrum, red will actually come through, as you saw. And that's actually what I have right here is, I'll show you real quick. I saw that Mark said something else, but I'll show you real quick what I did with the second sister. I think it was, yeah, second sister.
I love
We
that.
turned that blade red, but we kept the Death Star, and I got a different. I did what Fett said. I kind of reset, so we got the true Death Star with a red blade.
I am King Jarrus, Count Dooku. I'm the Jedi. Ben Solo, second sister.
Oh, you could see it better on the red, can't you? That pulsing.
Yeah, the pulse is showing up better.
Way better. Oh, that's sweet, Space.
In the reflection, like if I had a reflective surface behind me, you'd be able to tell better. What I'm actually seeing in real life is it's quite crazy because the way Fett has this set up, if you choose red under the Death Star setting, is that he has it cycling, like the pulse is cycling orange and then red and red orange or something like that. Fett can correct me, but so what I'm seeing is that red pulse to an orange, pulse to a yellow, with when the Death Star effect rolls up and down the blade, wherever that isn't, I see green, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So it's
probably the photon blade, because what it is, it should be just different levels of brightness of red, but I'm guessing if you so the brightest part of the pulse is actually, it's a red, and then it's got the blue and green mixed in to just get it closer to white. But I'm guessing the photon blade probably, yeah, changes that color out.
yeah, I'm really seeing like a
there would be a little bit of blue in there to get, because it essentially, if you just use like RGB 255 for just red, to get brighter, you would add like 50 in the blue and 50 in the green, and that moves it a little more towards a white red.
It looks wild on camera. It's like almost like a different type of unstable on camera.
yeah, it looks like I don't know, like it looks like a version of fire, but more lightsaber like.
Does that use a hump flicker, Fett?
It's actually using stripes.
Oh wow.
So yeah, what it is though is it's how you mix the colors. So there's a light red stripe, a medium red stripe, a red stripe, and then a bright red, which is that red plus like 50 and 50 blue and green. But because of the speed that it's rolling through those pixels, it gives this kind of undulation that looks like the Death Star blast.
That looks great on camera.
Yeah, it looks so like a real lightsaber on camera. In real life, it's like it's like a lightsaber, but it's like something else too. It's
well, I think
Mark might have to see that one in person to really.
It's kind of weird because I'm almost remember. Go ahead.
Oh no! In person, sometimes these effects are actually more prominent. At least a lot of the ones with a lot of movement, the cameras can't even see those variances as well. I see some of these ones, like the Death Star blast actually led into the Infinity Blast one, which was like the Infinity Gauntlet one. And that one, no matter how I tried to film it, it didn't look as good as what I was seeing in my hand. So some of them look better in person than they do on camera.
It kind of looks like the second sister blade in the game. Like
Really?
Yeah, because hers has like, I just love her lightsaber, the way it sounds, the way it looked like in the game. I was like, yeah, I'd almost keep that, Mark. That's pretty wicked. If it's space approved as well.
Yeah, I think Mark might really like this one, especially if you say that this is the way the second sister one does look in the Fallen Order. I don't think I got there yet in the game. Maybe I saw her once or something when she first attacked in the beginning, but like I'm not that far along in that game. But yeah, like this is it's, you know what, this is like one of those WoW ones where like you take it out in front of your neighbors or something and they're going to be like, what is that? You know,
how are you doing that?
Or if you had this at a con or something, like if you had this at a con, like everyone would look at you like, I mean, Fett could probably tell us that maybe when he brings one of these out, like if a Darth Vader one was like undulating in a crimson red fire orange, everyone at the con, everyone at the crowd must gather around.
Yeah, well, it's some events when I know there's going to be a lot of Jedi, because I'm 501st, so we're the dark side. But when I know there's a lot of Rebel Legion Jedi going to be there, I really stick all the craziness into the blades. So when I'm in front of fans, I try to stay canon, I try to stay in character, and I keep my blade styles pretty canon. But when we're in the back room hanging out and I see a Jedi, I cycle through all the craziest stuff. And all of a sudden, I have a bunch of Jedi standing around hanging out and they're really interested. And of course, then I start telling them, hey, you know, Proffieboard, and I give them the references and stuff. But yeah, it's a lot of times I know if I know who's going to be there, and I know what they like, I purposely load it on the Saber before I go to the event.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Whole new world. I wish I had the song on cue.
That, and you got to figure out how to get like a multi-layer fire blade in the blade you've built for him. Because remember when I sent you that video, Space, when the first time I did a neopixel and a photon, I was completely freaked out because the only way I can explain it is with certain different colors in a fire blade, and it's not the standards. So you probably have to mess with all the variants of colors in Fett's program, but it literally looks like fire because of the way the photon is. You agree, Space? Like if you put it real close to your face and the flame is going up the photon blade, it starts to look like it's literally like burning oxygen and traveling up the blade. It's a really weird effect.
Maybe we'll have to add some kind of font at the end for Mark. He doesn't really care for the fire blade, but maybe like you said, if it was an out of universe font, like something that you made yourself or whatever, we'll stick it at the end there, and he could, you know, either fool with the fire blade or not, you know.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I'll send you the blade code where that effect was super strong in a fire blade because I tweaked it. It's so cool.
Oh, Mark's happy with that effect. Yeah, I mean that effect. Like, I seriously need glasses for that. That was crazy. That was ridiculous. And you know, I thought it was a problem before. Like, Fett, do you remember? I don't know if you collected lightsabers a few years back, but like, you know how when you had the LED sabers and on camera they looked better than they did in real life, and now, like you said, you have these neopixel blades, and the neopixel actually looks better in real life than it can be captured on the camera. It's kind of the opposite.
That's true.
Yeah.
Of what has happened.
I had forever ago just a regular in-hill LED for my Vader when I first had it and I had the day blades and stuff, and I was never happy with it. And then, like I said, when I came back to it and I saw what neopixels were, I was like, I got to learn more about that. Like, that looked so much different. But yeah, I probably still have it somewhere, but I'd have to actually pull that out and compare the two now to like the old in-hill to the neopixel, because I don't think that old in-hilt I don't think has seen the light of day in a couple of years. So.
So I put the battery level on boot up. I wanted to see how that works.
Oh wait, let me make your screen large so we can check out.
This should be the purple electric staff, this is Jesse's.
Oh, I want to see purple.
So there, that's your power level indicator. That's pretty cool that it only pulses out of the emitter and then goes away.
Yeah.
Wow.
I run that on almost all my sabers because when you go to an event, like as I turn it on, it's green, yellow, or red depending on the battery level, but it just comes and goes and it just gets out of the way.
Let's get back a little bit. All right, electricity blade. Oh, whoa.
That one, yeah, that's watching.
Dude.
That is nuts. I don't know if you can see what it's doing. There,
Dude,
yeah.
it looks like Mace Windu trying to deflect the lightning.
Oh, this goes perfect with this font. Good God, nice work, guys.
Nice, yeah.
I think
That looks like
that's
you know,
nuts.
I need
right, so-
him.
So then here's the I did the cool off emitter. Let's see if this works. Oh yeah.
Whoa,
Oh,
what?
Now the metal's cooling off in the emitter.
Oh no, dude.
That's beautiful, man.
Oh, that's incredible.
Wow. That's beautiful. I love that one. That's staying.
Cool.
That's my
That
that's
is
my font one.
Something special. Whoa, bro. That was crazy.
Yeah, that's cool. So we've covered a lot of bases, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm probably gonna have to get off shortly because I know my boys need to get some sleep. So, it's if there's any other questions, though, I'll take them. But I'll probably be getting off in a little bit.
All right, we'll leave it. We'll give it 4 or 5 more minutes to see if anyone has any specific questions. If not, you know, I will say to everyone in the chat, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching us go through this learning process of learning the Proffi. I hope it helped a few of you, and you know, you could check back and watch this video over again, or check out Fett's channel as well. Check out JediArmsDealer. Go to Megtooth Sith YouTube channel as well. He has some tutorials, and I put the link of the style editor that Fett developed here, or the style generator that Fett developed that we've been using this whole show. And the link is in there, and I'll also put the link in the description for anybody watching this video in the future, so that you know you can connect to that. And I'm sure as time goes by, Fett will update this, just as in the last show we were using the last version, and this version he came out with just made life so much easier for everybody that wants to grab and go with these blade styles and just insert them right into the Proffieboard or the Proffi software, the Proffieboard that you're using. The beautiful thing about the Proffieboard, I'll just say for anybody that doesn't know, and I learned this I think 2 or 3 weeks ago when JediArmsDealer told me, is that no matter if you have the version 1 Proffi or the version 2 Proffi, whatever new Proffieboard hardware comes out, the beautiful thing about the open source is these programs, these styles, these blade styles, and any of the smooth swing fonts, any of the programming that you can put into it will work with any of the generation Proffieboards. You guys stop me if I'm wrong, but that's the great thing that I found out a couple of weeks back, right? That, like, you know, you don't need to, like, let's say Proffi 3 comes out next year. You don't need to upgrade to the Proffi 3 if you had a Proffi already, because whatever Fett develops for your lightsaber in the future will still work. It's so friendly. It's not like Apple, right? It's not like Apple. It's friendly to the people that have the old stuff.
Yeah, and just major props to Frederick, who created Proffi OS. So I do the styles, but he made this OS what it is. So that's all him. So if you have the V1.5 board or the 2.2, that's the physical board. The OS, which is the software that you get from Frederick's site, that's what controls everything. And then my styles in my library, or any styles that people in open source do, they're just a piece of the puzzle that slips into the config and makes everything happen. But you can take that, if you get the 4.7 download and you have the 2.2 board or the 1.5 board, it performs identical. The OS runs the same on both boards, so you don't have to, like, if you have a actually, most of the sabers in my videos are 1.5 boards because I've had them since the original run.
Same here.
Yeah. So you don't need to, like, because I even see that people are like, oh, do I need the 2.2 board for the new effects? No, you need the new OS for the new effects, but either board will run them.
Yeah, and like that was made me so happy when JediArmsDealer told me that, because I was I owned like 3 or 4 of the original boards. He had told me, JediArmsDealer told me, like, listen, the only difference is nothing that the customer will notice or the user notices. It's just for the person installing that, like, oh, the pads are easier to wire to, or something related to the installation of the board, not necessarily what the end user is going to experience. End user is going to experience everything the same as the newer version.
It was some physical changes. Yeah, V22, there was some physical changes to the board to make it a little more install friendly. Although the 1.5 was pretty easy, but the pads were a little bigger and there was a little more space. So you could solder a little easier. And the main blade on the V22, there's a pre-installed resistor. So you didn't use the resistor on data. But that was it's really physical difference. They both perform the same.
That's great news. That's great news for anybody that, had the board and maybe was, waiting for a Saber to arrive to install the board into, and then they see version 2 came out. They're like, oh no, I have the, no, everything's fine. It's not like the way things used to be. Or the way things are with some other boards that maybe the hardware changes and you kind of have to upgrade the hardware. The open source situation that I actually put the Frederick 4.7 operating system link for the Proffie. Frederick's website is in the chat right now, and I'll also put that underneath in the description when I'm done with the video here, for anybody that comes back and watches. If you want to talk to Frederick, or you want to interact with the makers of these boards, like Frederick, he's on the Rebel Armory, right? I know a lot of times I have asked a question and he is, I don't know where he is in the world. It's obviously a different time zone than me. He has answered so fast. And I've talked to other people that said the same thing. And this guy is like the greatest.
Yeah, I mean, he answers he doesn't do a lot of the Facebook stuff. So that's once in a while, like we have the open source group in Facebook, and that's a lot of members like me who just enjoy the board and try to help people. But if you ask him the TRA forum, and he has his own section for Professor, and I'm probably saying it wrong, but he'll answer usually really fast, some at a minimum within a few hours, sometimes a day or so. But he's on top of it, and I mean he's always been so helpful. Like I said, I probably bugged the guy way too much, but he still helps me out. So he's just great, and
he's awesome. And like what I try to do first before even asking a question, like usually on those forums, is like there's a thread on the Rebel Armory, the one I'm thinking of specifically. There's probably a thread like this on FX Sabers as well, but the one on the Rebel Armory is I know Frederick directly interacts there often, and the cool part about it is it's like got 30 plus pages of people who have maybe asked your question before. So what I did when I had a problem in the previous Proffie Saber that I built, or something I didn't understand, I kind of just went and read through what people asked, because maybe that issue was somewhere answered already, which was really, really cool. And then when I kind of maybe had a further issue is when I did end up asking, and was surprised that, people chimed in pretty quickly, and Frederick himself said something back like that helped immensely, like a very simple solution to whatever I was like dealing with. So very, very cool. Very, very cool. And if you guys have anything to say, if you want to say anything, Fet, you want to say anything in closing about your channel, or about the style editor, or anything like that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I thank you guys for having me on. I'm glad to have been able to show it to you, and I'm a big part on the open source group. So if questions go there or through my channel, I try to answer. Obviously, I work and I have a family, so sometimes I don't reply right away, but I try to get back to everybody. To me, I just enjoy the Proffieboard and just how much fun it is. That's what I'm trying to just share with everybody. And hopefully, I figure there's so many people out there who want lightsabers to do cool stuff. So that's why it's just the open source community, the Proffieboard just makes it possible. But to me, it just is everything that's enjoyable about the hobby. Definitely.
I mean, it's been so much fun just like learning from you what it can do, and the way you made it so easy. I mean, I can't thank you enough. I think as soon as someone sinks their teeth into that website that you put together and just starts playing around, it becomes really intuitive. It becomes, you know, just a method. You got a few of these windows open, you have your text edit open, and you kind of just learn to transfer information from one to the other. You use the Arduino program to verify what you've done. It'll tell you whether it is a success or failure. You guys can see the failure we had earlier on in the show, if you watch the whole thing, that it ended up being something with the version of the Arduino program that I was using wasn't compatible with my system. We upgraded it. A couple minutes later, we're back on track, and now I kind of have the way to go through whatever changes I want to make. You know, very, very cool.
Absolutely. And thanks a lot, all you guys, for busting ass on this stuff. I know you guys put a ton of work into it. And I'll give a shameless prop to Fett. There's a donate button. So I'm going to do that. I hope you guys will too, so that he can keep doing this. Because he's definitely master mode on this whole deal. And we want to see him keep going. Yeah, man.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Mad
Definitely.
props.
And I will put their links underneath in the description. When you go to the link that Fett provides, you will see that donate button. You will see a couple buttons that he provides to like get you started. If you want to see his tutorials on how to do that, that's there as well. That was super informative session for me.
Yep. I almost feel caught up.
Yeah. I kind of feel really good about this. Yeah, I feel really, really good about the Proffieboard. Where, like, let me tell you, a year ago, I was pretty lost. I had to go in the pool very, very slowly as the cold water crept up. But eventually I got used to it. I think tonight I'm fully immersed, fully swimming around tonight. It's been great.
Yeah, no doubt.
Nice. Yeah, hey, I'm glad I was able to help.
This has been epic. I'm going to be awake for 3 days now.
Yeah. I'm sorry in advance for taking all your time off. I apologize for that. But,
probably lose some weight.
Yeah.
Consider it an investment in your lightsaber.
Yeah, man.
Exactly.
Well,
thank you, gentlemen. I'm going to go take care of my little ones, but I appreciate it, and thanks for having me on.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah.
We'll talk soon. All right.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Do you like what I do here on Space Windu channel? You might like my second channel. It's called Comic Book Creation Live, and that's where I work on my latest comic book, Albatross Junction, with my friend Kevin. We do a live show every single Wednesday. You might want to drop by and check it out. It's a really cool story that is sort of like Star Wars in some ways. There's some space travel, there's a lot of action, alien creatures, monsters, and future Earth, maybe over 1,000 years into the future. So go check out Comic Book Creation Live.